take over, but we'll see you guys same bat time, same bat channel. Get them, big kahunas.
Yo, I just welcome everybody to the afternoon show. I just found some stuff out about I'm muted.
Oh, never
I'm not
mind,
muted.
Never mind.
I just found out some stuff about Obi. First of all, the boys were just talking about like old school cars, what they used to ride, because Sharif obviously was a baller. Look, man, my first ride was a 1989 Mazda 626. It was broken down. Right. I mean, some things didn't work on it. Like when I was driving on the highway to my summer job, like I had to have the windows down and you blow the hot air coming from the engine. I had to vent it out, coming out of the windows. The windows down. The windows always had to be down.
Was it
you couldn't roll up the window. You had to keep them down because the heat was like you couldn't be in your face. You had to blow that excess heat coming out, which was crazy. When it was raining, it was a problem. But I just found out that Obi had a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Learning things right now. The market just made a move to the downside, which is good for AMD. I'm just going to quickly point out, everyone was talking about old school phones. Nokia is up 9% today. They must have heard you guys talking. But I'm very surprised.
How is that surprising?
No, for some reason in my head, in my vision, I never pictured you to be a motorcycle guy.
Yeah,
which is definitely. Maybe that's just my bad.
I like my crotch rockets. So.
Obi lives dangerously.
No, I was telling you, we were talking about the first vehicles, and I was like, I had a choice because I was living at home, and I had a choice of like getting a vehicle, getting like a car, or getting a motorcycle. But that was like that. I was thinking about it because I was like, do I really need a car? Because I don't necessarily use one. I get around with like transit most often. And then the other option was like a couple of my buddies were getting into like motorcycles, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. If you ever get a chance to ride a motorcycle, let me tell you, it will change your life. It will change your life. For sure. Oh, I'll tell you. Ride responsibly, of course. Don't ride responsibly always. Defensive driving is key. You know, Twist of the Wrist is a great documentary. It's to watch if you really want to look at like defensive driving and defensive riding and safe riding as well. I feel like the days have passed for me to ever be on a motorcycle. Like it's just for me, it's never too late. Oh, 100%. Yo, you can't like. What about like a nice cruiser, or like a nice chopper? 100%. Get yourself a nice Harley, or you know. Nah, I wouldn't. And it has nothing to do with whether I would want to or not. Yep. But I can tell you right now, like like my wife would be in fits, and if it would stress her out, then it's just like I wouldn't love it enough or be that interested enough to do. Like, it's something you can definitely fall in love with. Like a risky thing that she wouldn't want me to do that I would actually do if I had the opportunity to do was to go to space to be able to see the curvature of the Earth. Like that's something that I would love enough if you're like, I don't want you doing that. I'm like, well, I'd love it. So, but riding a motorcycle, I don't know. We take enough risk in life. But I just didn't see it coming. It is what it is. I'm surprised if my first vehicle. When I was living at home, look, my family's West Indian. If I had said, hey, Moms, I'm thinking about for my first car, I'm going to get a motorcycle instead, she would have looked at me. She would have like done one of these. And that's about it. And that's how my high school football career went. Hey, Mom, I made for second practice, I made the football team. No, you didn't. She said, no, you didn't at that time. But it's the same thing. A motorcycle, not for me. But yeah, I think that's amazing. I wouldn't have guessed it. My mom wasn't too big about it, but my dad was definitely supportive because like he rode all his life as well. Okay, there you go. He was about it for sure. So. That's what it's all about. Yeah. See, we're just biding some time to get to we're going to go to Sharif, but I have to point something out that just happened on the NASDAQ. First, I'm glad I took these fills out at 156. Ye old VWAP trade on stock that is not strong. That's the only thing I'm in. But this just happened on the NASDAQ. Legitimate wick underneath VWAP, lit grab, and now holding higher low support. So I'm going to back off the automatic reload at VWAP and just play it by ear here because that was a bit of a bounce here on that NASDAQ. Bit of a bottoming tail candle. I don't think you want to rush into anything. Yeah. It's a Friday. If that's going to push us back to the highs, there's lots of strong stocks we can get to, and we'll probably find some of them when we go to the screen with Sharif.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, everyone, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. Neil and Sean are, not Sean, Neil and Obi, they're locked and loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So make sure to join us during that midday show and get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers, but it's a subs only chat. So make sure you're subscribed. Let's have a look at the indexes first. As Neil was showing, the SPY here up 0.4, the NASDAQ outperforming the SPY on the day marginally, about, I think, up 0.55. Last time I looked, the Dow and the Russell are red, but they're essentially flat right now, not doing much on the day. Let's have a look at the first ticker as decided by you guys, AMZN. Good day for Amazon today, over 1% though. It was lacking a catalyst, but there was this catalyst from yesterday. It looks like the Amazon AWS CEO insisting that if you're gonna work at Amazon Web Services, you have to be in the office 5 days a week, and that has some people upset, but not really market moving, guys.
Doesn't need a catalyst. It's Amazon. All it needs is a liquidity grab off the open. And sometimes that's all that it requires. Wasn't part of the trading plan. And we left you guys in the afternoon or at the end of the morning show with, hey, I'm going long Amazon because the things that I was looking at for relative strength. I liked Apple today. They had the good news. Maybe you're going to get 52-week high break. Great. Nope. No good. I liked Nvidia today. Okay, maybe it's going to make that recovery, bouncing dip buys like we did before, and then we trade it till 140 and we short that. Nope, that never set up. So Amazon decided it was going to lick grab to the prior low, trend up, and then there was a bull flag. So there's your bull flag. Well, there's a couple of ways you could play it. One of which would be wait for it to break out, or allow it to try to run the bottom this last time in here, like just when it looks bearish, you're running into the low, hold the low, lower high, that's about as bearish as it looked the whole time. Wick through that support level, liquidity grab, hold higher low, now you're long, and then now you're long into the high, and then we played it into 190. It's still strong. Oddly enough, I was just in it when that liquidity grab in the NASDAQ happened off the 189.5 zone. I think now that you have this rounded bottom, if it can break out this top and start to show me a little bit more green, I'm liking this back into the long side one more time. So Amazon, it's been a great long already. I think it can do more. 190 is resistance on the daily, just a little bit above there. 190.30 or so was the prior high. You got a little further than that today, almost to 191. But this is a strong one today on Amazon. I love the fact that it just, like the market just liquidity grabbed. A lot of people like myself would have just gotten out of some reload longs, put in a higher low in here, get a rounded bottom. I think Amazon has a good shot to get back to the top. One of the stocks I would be looking long this afternoon in.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you pointed out something important there, relatively strong. If you look at some of the other Mag 7 names looking distinctly different is Amazon right now. It is the only one that's held above VWAP and trending strongly to the upside. 190.74 is the high of day right now, breaking past Monday's high as well. Monday's high being 190.17, so breaking out of the weekly. So the week went red to green off of this pop here above 190.17 right now, going back a little bit in the green there. So interesting stuff. Strong close to the week, it looks like, on Amazon here today.
Great day for crypto-related stocks and great day for Bitcoin as well. Obviously, there's Coinbase, second name on your rundown, 6 and a 5th in the green right now. We talked this morning during the morning show, about the record amount of net inflows that are coming into the exchange traded products, Bitcoin spot ETFs, as well as some others with Fidelity and BlackRock taking the cake there with IBIT and Fidelity's ETF, guys. So good look right now for Coinbase.
Coinbase.
Don't look now, but that trend on BTC that has been holding on the daily, it's trying to break out as we speak. Now, it's not flying above. I mean, you're under, like right now, you're underneath 69. If it can hold above 69,000, that's a break of this trend line. So I think it needs to go 70 to really confirm it on a higher time frame, and maybe that's something you get this weekend. But as long as it's threatening, you have all of the related names, like a Coinbase, which are also going to be threatening the highs. So not exactly rocket science that you're going to get a retest of that high. I think the problem with expecting us to break out this level is tricky because that 69,000, 70,000 overhead, a long-term trend line, it's going to be really hard, in my estimation, for a lot of these names like a Coinbase or an MSTR to get that final push through. the thing that kind of sucks is it's not really setting up an obvious mean reversion off the highs. Like if we're going to lose that level on Bitcoin, it's not going parabolic enough that I'd want to play a reversion trade on Coinbase and even MSTR, which is another one here. Like it's very gently going higher. So while I think you're pretty much at overhead resistance on Bitcoin, which makes any kind of a long at these tops to me very perilous, it's also not setting up any retracement trades. I might be sitting these out unless something crazy happens. What would be interesting would be if you did like a parabolic break of the high, Bitcoin failed 69,000, and then you'd look for a retrace. But it's hard for me to look long this afternoon when I think the breakout of that level on BTC is happening this weekend. I don't think you get there's almost no chance it's going to happen on Friday afternoon. You know, it's a couple hours till the market closes. Bitcoin doesn't care about that. I think it's unlikely we get that kind of a level break here this afternoon, which makes it really tricky for me to want any part of the longs up at these tops on something like a Coinbase.
Yeah, no, I just noticed that Coinbase is breaking out of a bit of a level here. That gap down that we had prior earnings right after that August dip as well. I'm surprised we actually got below those August numbers early in September here and only bid right back up. So it's interesting that we're finally breaking back above. I'm just looking at this high here. This is a 3-hour chart. So looking at that high, that's 213.46, and I think we did clip that action today, and I guess earlier on in the week as well. On Wednesday, we made a high of 212.40 there, so almost right there, breaking that level today through there. So interesting stuff. Again, Bitcoin testing the top of its a trend resistance, as Neil pointed out. A lot of these crypto tickers definitely going, and Coinbase has a strong chart underneath it, right, as well, underneath this 200 mark. It's been building up quite nicely, trading almost back up into that gap area, Neil. So interesting stuff. Well, I guess trading above this gap, but this selling that started all the way from 272s right here, a bit of a level here. And are these all-time highs I'm looking at that 287? No, never mind. I don't think so. Those are not all-time highs.
Oh,
we were much higher.
Yeah, we're not close.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yearly highs at that 278. So we're kind of headed there. Look at that volume as well. Looking interesting on the weekly Coinbase.
All right, guys, drug next up on the list here. What a move up for this one. There was a headline earlier in the week, but the one that got it moving today was this private placement offer to the tune of $35 million. Had the market very enthusiastic, up 158%. I've chosen this 60-minute chart to show you where we were trading with this stock at the beginning of the month. We were at $1. Now we touched 70, off the highs, though, 56 2/3, guys.
So, regardless of how your day is going, your week is going, and I hope everyone's day and week is going fantastically. That's what it's all about. But if you aren't having the best of days or the best of weeks, just remember one thing. There's more good days than bad days, and more good people than bad people in the world, and the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And also, you're not short drug. Because truth of the matter is, somebody is. Like, while we're watching this, somebody is short this thing.
Stop it. Get some help.
But the problem is they probably haven't stopped. And there's probably more of them today than there were yesterday. And they're trapped. And when this is happening, it can get really nasty. This is a big continuation play. It's what happened yesterday. And what was the other? I'm trying to remember. ATNF. We're going to get to ATNF in a quick second, because that was the other one that might be doing something similar that I want to pay attention to. So it looked like you had 2 days in a row. You had the pullback day right into the same, like this lower high here, about 22, dip into 22. And then yesterday, on essentially no volume, it just hung around and just chilled at $22, doing absolutely nothing. Couldn't break down. When these things give it up, you know how fast they can give it up. It just went sideways. And what that meant was you probably had some accumulation shorts that got zero follow through yesterday. So when that means they've covered nothing. If anything, maybe they were even adding on light volume yesterday. But then it starts breaking things out and breaking things out and breaking things out. And then trapping more people short and trapping more people short and trapping more people short. So you got a huge squeeze. on a low floater here. That doesn't mean it's going to go up forever. It could break a trend and drop $15 in a heartbeat. But right now, it looks very nasty. It's ATNF. Now, I'm not saying this is going to do the same thing, but if we observe that pattern of something which pulled back, did absolutely nothing at the bottom, held that same low, and is now consolidating, I mean, that's kind of like the prior 2 days on drug, where it lulled a lot of people back into sleep, and then we could wake up on Monday, and this decides to start going when there wasn't that huge fall through. Now, the difference would be anybody that's short ATNF on that last move is deep, deep in the money. So it's got a lot of room that it has to go, but I think it's lulled a lot of people to sleep, just like drug is. I wish I could tell you this one makes sense to, I don't see any trades for myself personally. Even if you pop a 3-minute and try to make sense of it, like you could try to work some tight stop longs and then just hope. But I think those are all better at the 50 area than, like, if you take pot shots at 56, like 50 is the level right now that's got to hold. So you take pot shots in here, I think you're just going to get yourself in and out too many stops. Let's see it try to liquidity grab, like do one of these candles back into 50, and if it can hold 50, then maybe there's a long trade this afternoon.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Again, Neil covering pretty much what this thing has been doing. Again, I talked about this in the morning, textbook liquidity trap there, especially after what happened yesterday, right? And I was talking to Neil about this as well. You can clearly see this a little bit on the daily, just looking at some of the volume that it's been doing over the past few days, right? We saw that initial day coming up from $1, opens up at $1.11, right? And it closes at 249 with a high of 266. Strong volume on that day. And if you can see right here, it's done about 20. You can see up here in the corner how much volume it's done. It's done about 21 million. Next day, it shoots all the way up to a high of 38.49. And guess how much volume it's doing on that day? 102 million shares, 102.75 million shares. Instantly, well, not instantly, the next day, the next day, it does 13 million. The bar right after, it does 2.6. After doing 100 million a couple of days before, and it cannot break below this 2021 level right here. If you look at a shorter time frame, it literally cannot break through that level once again. So it's like, all right, on a low volume day where we're starting to break down levels where we did significant volume going into the close for multiple days, you cannot break this level down, and we start to break up in the pre-market. Somebody's stuck. People were stuck on day 2. People were stuck on maybe not day 2 and day 3 and 4 because it looked like it was maybe working, but a failure to follow through below the 21 on a low volume after it's done over a 3,000% move, oh boy, and then it goes for the next leg right there, breaking that prior high, pre-market high. Again, up over 3,000% on its run this week. This week, starting off Monday, again, we can kind of start off at that, dollar, was it $1.30, whatever, $1.30, $1.11, right there. It's up over 5,000%. Right at the highs, it's up over 5,000%. If you want to see what blown accounts look like, drug is a ticker to watch.
Yeah, and the thing about blown accounts is when you're trading something like that with your own money, you're basically going to be in a world of hurt. However, you do have the opportunity to trade other people's money, which is a little bit easier to do. And Trade the Pool allows traders like you to get evaluated and trade real shares using the company's capital. No PDT rule holding you back. That's how they give a true trading edge. Here's the exciting part. Trade the Pool has just launched a limited edition program to evaluate stock traders like you. For a one-time fee of just $97, you'll receive $20,000 in buying power, and all you've got to do is reach the profit goal. The best part of this limited edition program is that they've reduced the profit goal and the minimum trades required to reach the funded phase, and the profit split's been upgraded. So keep 70% of the profit. You should definitely want to check it out. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description for more information. And speaking of information, we are full of it, including a symbol which is about to break out.
Oh boy.
What is it, Sharif? It's right in front of me.
It's Disney, Neil, and it looks good right now. I mean, it had a fantastic day a couple of days ago. As you can see, that big move up. Today, another good look, but it's lacking a catalyst, at least one that I couldn't find. I'm assuming it's moving in sympathy with Netflix, so that's why I put this one up. Obviously, we didn't have Netflix on the rundown. Just wanted to let you know the company reported far better than expected Q3 financial results with about 14.5% growth in paid streaming memberships, guys, just assuming this is moving in sympathy with Netflix.
Yeah, I mean,
8 days.
I think it's a safe assumption, but either way, a very long downward trend has already been broken. You can see it like holding above the 50 period. If you draw a trend line or just use the 50, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. It's the fact that after breaking the trend, you know what? You don't need a trend line when we actually have the 50 period that will work so well on it. After that, you held support right at a prior high, right in front of the 50, and you're now getting a local breakout here. And now it hasn't taken $98 yet, but that's just, that's probably next week, maybe even today. It's entirely possible it could do it today. Definitely Disney looking pretty solid in here. And if you look at the way that it's gone up today, essentially a bit of a liquidity, it's not a liquidity grab because it didn't break yesterday's support, but it does break pre-market lows, accumulate at yesterday's support level, and then just an obvious trend up. Like that's like algo trend up, clean, nothing parabolic, nothing ever out of control about it. Right into that resistance on the daily, consolidate above the top, break it out on Monday, and then you're off to $100. It looks like on Disney. Just want to get over to like Amazon did make that retest here. So there's your bottoming tail wick. The NASDAQ did the same thing. There's your, I don't know, wick candle, whatever the heck you want to. There's a name for this. It slips my mind because I'm old. And then you get the nice little confirmation of the long. We get long out in front of the 70 break. I got 71s, playing it into 190. Breaks 190. We'll play it into the quarter mark as well, and then see how far Amazon can go. Trending stock up. Does liquidity grab, I know, because I was in it. And then we get right back in on the other side when it confirms the strength. So Amazon still looking pretty good. Disney looking fantastic on that daily chart.
Yeah, I really like this look here. I have a couple anchors from these highs again, earnings and some event ones as well. We're trading right back up, and Neil is definitely right in that trend break. Look at that. I was pointing out when that trend does break. Look at that grinded buying, and I was like, oh, it got bid up consistently, and I was like, how long did that happen for? That was about 9 to 8 days roughly from those lows, and then we hold some higher lows, continuing to push to the upside right there. Prior highs incoming at that 97.55. Today's highs right now 97.54. So just a penny shy of those prior weekly highs right there on Disney. And look at that strength coming in off of the dump, off of the open today. If I can just fix this chart, there you go, right there. You can see aggressive selling into some of prior days lows, end-of-day consolidation lows right there. Look at that wiki action above 96, and then we catch a little bit of a bid that not only breaks opening price, but opening range high as well. Trading higher, 97.35s right now is Disney. That's a magical chart.
Ooh, I like that. Magical.
We'll get to Peloton in a second, but I want to bring to your attention this stock, guys, breaking out on highs right now. LTBR, small cap gapper, really getting its footing under it during the midday. This one didn't really move in the pre-market, taking out the high 60% right now in case anybody is interested in that. Peloton. No specific catalyst today, just assuming possibly, breaking out with the rest of the small caps. They did, however, release when they're going to, or announce when they're going to release their earnings for Q3 of 2024. They're going to release it on the market open or before the market open on Thursday, October 31st, Halloween. Hope that their earnings aren't scary.
Goodness, like that LTBR, unbelievable. There's too many of them. That's the scene from, I know you did the October thing, but that's the scene from Empire Strikes Back, where the one dude in the middle of like a firefight where his life is, and he's like, there's too many of them. Like, does it really matter in that situation? They're all shooting at you anyways. It's like not like you can beam yourself out. You just got to deal with the situation, man. Complaining about it's not going to do anything when you're in the middle of space and the Death Star is blowing people up. You got to just hunker down and do what you got to do. But the guy decided to complain about it anyways. It's weird what they say in the copy. It's not remotely realistic. I had a cousin who was a pilot, and he flew here in the Navy in Canada. He would always joke about when you watch stuff like that. Yeah, because that's how they, like, anyone freaking out like a Mitch like that. But anyways, LTBR looks like a really strong one. It's absolutely going, no question about it. There's so many of these runners trying to, look, I really want to find one before it's making these breakouts. So going to have some scanners up because I feel like this, with a Friday volume, there might be some opportunities out there of some decently strong stocks. But, I mean, Amazon, if it goes like 50 cents to $1 this afternoon, I think we're happy. These things are doing them all the time. Now, Peloton, on the other hand, is on the other side of the trade right now. So it ran this morning, went huge, made the breakout on the daily, and now is right back underneath the prior high. So Peloton's been on a bit of one. I don't want to call it a fail breakout yet because it could always close, right? It's literally 580 is where that prior high was. And it could still try to hold above that price. Actually, I think 570, that's a bad wick. Get rid of that. That's actually like 565. So it's actually much stronger than on the higher time frame than I thought. Yeah, when you don't look at that level on that wick on the daily, really your support ought to be like 565, which it's holding on to. So Peloton, nice move, but you want to see a retracement hold on to some prior highs, even if it looks bearish. That way you can see continuation maybe in the next couple of days. But good look there on Peloton. I don't know if I have a trade that isn't it breaking out. Squeeze names need to break levels to squeeze. And if it can't get back above 590, like where's the opportunity in the stock if it can't break back out above the 590 level? But I like this 570. It's just, there's so many squeeze names and runners that are actually going that to try to hope that one goes doesn't make sense today. I don't think that's what you want to do. You want to find something that's starting to do volume, that's starting to break out, and try to join one, as opposed to, well, Peloton went this morning and it's not going down, so maybe it goes up. That kind of hopium, when there's so many things flying around, I don't think that makes any sense. It's going to ring the register here on Amazon. I almost said Nvidia out of habit. Just got into that quarter mark. Actually stalled out in front of 190.20. There's some offers in front of the 20 level. But we'd like to see high of the day next year into the 50s. If it breaks this newly minted trend line, I probably just jump out of it. You got to remember on a Friday, we're not getting a tremendous amount of volume. The futures are drifting toward what has been obvious resistance up top here. So call it 20,520 or quarters or whatever you want to. But we haven't on the NASDAQ been able to breach that top. Now the ES has not had trouble. But the ES is less tech heavy. So I want to watch the NASDAQ here. The ES is pretty much at the high and trying to break it. It's a NASDAQ which is actually lagging right now. They have a bunch of chip names and some tech names that aren't all participating. So if we can't break the high, I want to make sure we preserve the profit here. But Peloton, probably nothing burger. There's so many other things moving if you want to squeeze name.
Yeah, I think the trade here, again, I wasn't really watching Peloton that closely. Again, we looked at it for a little bit in the morning, but look at these strong candles right off of the open, cycling all the way to the upside there. 618 is the high, but look at that reversion, Neil. That's the one. That's the thing I'm most, I guess. I like that. Look at that nice little trend break, and that selling comes in quite aggressively after that volume kind of starts to dissipate. Reversion to VWAP. Oh boy, that trend break, and now we're consolidating underneath the VWAP. So I think that reversion kind of is starting to obviously slow down, but that bid is holding a little bit higher here. 571 is the low of this consolidation underneath a VWAP of 587. So looking at, again, higher time frame, looking at that 3 hour, let's take this VWAP out of the way now because we don't really need that. But yeah, it has been kind of stepping to the upside since earnings. We consolidated off of earnings earlier last month, 22nd, 23rd of August, in and around there. 22nd of August in the morning was when earnings were reported, and we consolidated sideways, holding that 420 level for another leg higher here. 618 is the high a day right now. Peloton, yeah, can this one turn, Neil? I have no idea, but it seems like higher time frame. Again, looking at the weekly, this thing's been pretty stationary in terms of like holding its trend to the downside.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. You know what just tagged the high again? Netflix.
Yep, I'm watching Netflix squeeze right now.
Netflix is super strong. I saw
boy, reversion of the reversion?
JD roaring in the 20s. It just asked, is Netflix splitting? Nope. Should they split? In my humble opinion, it would be nice if they did, but Netflix doesn't have to do what I want. If that was the case, then every single, it is what it is. Every single time they cancel a show that I like, that wouldn't happen. Maybe they'd be a little bit quicker on the draw with the next season of things that I'm interested in, little things like that. I've been told I should stop watching Outer Banks because it's not going to get any better. But whatever. It popped on my list for some reason, so I tried it. No, but Netflix is trying that high. Now, I know you're thinking about mean reversion on Netflix.
Oh, I was.
I couldn't bring myself to it this morning, and I don't know that I can bring myself to want to be short it this afternoon. That's a heck of a recovery.
It was a beautiful mean reversion.
It was a good one, but now it's retesting the highs.
No, I think I was talking to this about with this one about Adara, and I think she actually took this trade. So shout out to Adara for taking the reversion on Netflix right here. First red bar. I was talking about this. I was like, okay, this thing has done green bars since 8:30. Since 8:30, only green on the 15-minute. The first 15-minute red candle that shows up can't even break prior high, can't even break prior open, and reverts all the way down. Sure, it doesn't touch VWAP, but we get to a low of 753.40. So if you're putting this on a bit of a trail, you're probably not getting out till 757, or if you're holding for a strong prior bar break or a double prior bar break, then you're not getting out till 755 at least, all the way up from 760s, and you're risking what? You're risking a couple of points, 2 to 3 points. So interesting price action nonetheless, but definitely a strong push off of the open. Beautiful reversion down into VWAP, but we're getting that strength coming right back in towards day highs. You can see that a little bit of increasing volume coming in as this action takes us right back up to the highs, trading at 761 right now. Netflix with a high of 763. So I was looking at this, I was like, oh, that's the reversion down to VWAP, but then there's more. But wait, there's more. There's a reversion of the reversion off of VWAP, off of a VWAP hold where that trend breaks as well, and it gives you an even tighter risk if you're risking down to VWAP there, and we're all the way back up to the highs. So, oh boy, earnings day one, Netflix is definitely giving a lot of opportunities. That's a good show.
It's a very good show on Netflix right now. The reversion of the reversion, that should just be like a Black Mirror episode or something. There. That's another fantastic show that they just more and more seasons of that. More. I love Black Mirror that's my ish. And I love the one, I already forget the name. There was like the Choose Your Own Adventure. Bandersnatch, yeah. That was super cool. I love this whole choose your own adventure thing.
Like the Goosebumps books. You ever read those?
I mean, okay, so I know what they are. Yeah. I'll cop this. I actually haven't read the Goosebumps books. However, I did have some choose your own adventure books when I was a kid. I had a Star Wars one. So I know I know how they work. I just Goosebumps I never did. But a couple of things here. We have a poll because right when we came on, Amazon did not trail out. Hold on a second. I thought I just put a trail on Amazon, and instead it just went to the high of the day. We'll take that into the high. Amazon strong, baby. Strong like a bull. But I wanted to make sure we put this in a poll because I have said several times that I think any break of 70,000 is happening this weekend. So will Bitcoin break and hold 70,000 over the weekend? Yes. And correct to the viewer who's like, what does HODL mean? It's just hold on for dear life. Or no, dump it. I've already made my vote for yes because I've said I want it to happen. Of course I'm going to vote for what I think I want to happen. The other thing, too, is if you want to be a part of this poll, if you want to ask us questions in the chat, then obviously you got to be a subscriber. So here's the reality. You got to hit that like, you got to hit that subscribe. You want to see what we're trading, you want to have an idea of what we think about a stock, or you want to alert us to a stock or ask a question of our great community, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like, then you can jump into that chat. So pretty much the plan over here in Amazon. What I like about this move, however, is I think it's confirmed that I should be jumping back into AMD. Now, I didn't necessarily want to auto jump in to AMD off of VWAP because of the way that candle happened on the NASDAQ, where you lit grabbed underneath VWAP and then held higher. That didn't make me want to jump in and add any short positions. But suddenly, with the hold of VWAP, AMD is still weak. So I want to be going back over to that. As we go to the desk, it's time for a little bit of a update with Adara.
Just to recap here, if you missed the midday session, not everyone's going to be sitting at their desk during that lunch hour. We're going to give you everything you need to know. So many small caps, of course. We had some more moves in DRUG, SOBR, trade a little bit lower. PEGY was also on watch here as well. S&P 500 continuing to push higher, up about 0.5% right now. We did have quite a few Fed speakers, but really the only one that was saying anything a little bit interesting here with regards to interest rates was going to be Fed's Bostic. We had Fed's Bostic generally be fairly dovish, but there were some signs that he wanted to be a bit slower and a bit cautious with the pace of rate cuts, echoing comments he made in a market-moving interview with Bloomberg last Thursday. So Fed's Bostic saying, amongst other things, that he believes interest rates will continue to fall and that the job on inflation is not done. He also said he believes that inflation could get to that 2% mark near the end of next year. So near the end of 2025, we could have the Fed's 2% goal. He said he currently sees neutral inflation at about 3 to 3.5% as of right now. We also had comments from Fed's Waller, not really about inflation, but he did mention his thoughts on decentralized finance. So apparently he is a proponent of DeFi, something we learned from Fed's Waller today during the midday. We also learned there's more ongoing in this Franklin Resources story. BEN had a bit of a volume spike to the downside, currently trying to recover a little bit here. It had its Western Assets Management, its WAMCO segment, has been investigated here by the DOJ. This probe is ongoing, and now apparently its clients are being interrogated. So BEN up about 2% now, recovering, but still on watch to the downside with that ongoing investigation as reported by Bloomberg. Netflix, as mentioned just now by Neil and Obi as well, continuing to stay strong. This one still up almost 11% on a standout earnings report. Let's see where the rest of this day has to unfold, guys.
It's happening, Sebastian. Thank you, Adara. But thank you, Sebastian, for mentioning it. We've been talking about how gold's going and lots of things are breaking highs, but yeah, it looks like silver is finally through the top here. It's going. Let me 1 second. Let me zoom out a little bit here. So you got the breakthrough 30 on SLV. What's PAS doing? Let's see what PAS is going to be doing on this breakout. Should be pretty strong, I'm going to assume as well. You want to have some ideas like where you would play the trade because you can always express a trade in many places. So Pan American Silver also in the midst of a almost high break. So this one's not quite through its top yet. Up 10%, huge move for Pan American here, but hasn't really broken that top. I mean, I can't see any way if SLV is going to continue going. That should probably get through that high. So yeah, you're getting a little bit of a squeeze happening in SLV. It's a very I always use the term linear, but that's just correct. It's a very linear move up. Like a nice, gentle grind higher, completely nothing out of control whatsoever. Only 5% though. It's this PAS that might be. This is just a little bit more extreme. That said, it's at the 52-week high right now, or maybe like 10 cents away from it. So tricky to want to join right in front of resistance on PAS. Would love to see it maybe try to run that high, pull back, give you some kind of a quality entry where some people are getting out of longs, and then you can jump into it. But great trend on silver, finally making a bit of a bounce to the upside. It took a while. Gold was doing all that heavy lifting, and finally silver starting to come into play too.
Yeah, no, definitely some of those, I guess, yeah, gold. I was watching even earlier this week, just pushing towards those highs there. We were thinking that, was it in 21, 22 that, gold is near highs there. Maybe not the best time to buy, but definitely proven wrong there on that one as these I guess assets continue. I was going to say tickers, but gold is not just a ticker. Right? These assets kind of push even higher there. Still kind of involved with this IONQ idea. Trying to make, I guess, made a few decisions there earlier. This was interesting in the morning action there with a lot of these nuclear names kind of pushing to the upside and then fading back off. Again, if you guys were here with us in the morning session, we were watching a few of these tickers here. This was the basket that I was looking at. So let's take a quick look. I will pull my other charts over here. So Dominion Energy right there, again, was associated with Amazon with that nuclear reactor news. We can see that news scale SMR pretty much gave back a lot of its gains from the morning. IONQ as well. NNE, although surprisingly holding well above 50% of its opening reaction or opening range highs right there. Nice little consolidation happening there. OKLO doing the same thing here. Has not really been able to break down. I'm sure there are people looking at this being like, oh, why are some tickers in this sector kind of, why have they pulled back all the way to their opening prices or trading below VWAP, whereas some of them are trading above? I have no idea. But that's the case right now. Watching this XLE as well. I don't know how related that one is. Uranium is up to the upside, holding its highs as well. And then I guess this one here, again, shout out to the chat. I forget who it was, but someone pointed out quadruple U, which is, again, Energy Fuels Inc., and another nuclear-related ticker. So interesting price action in this sector today. Okay. Watch me, you.
Okay, no, okay, you did get that. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we're on board. We're on board. I like it.
Soldier boy, tell him.
Soldier boy, tell him. I wanted to give a shout. Oh, crap. I just lost the... It was Anuja. I wanted to welcome Anuja here. Welcome to Trader TV Live, and I want to thank a couple of the super chats in here. I'll get to SP Williams first. Neil, thank you for the super chat, SP. You're going to trade one small cap for the road. Enough respect. I mean, look, I've been looking for the one because that's where the volume is right now. Peggy's not doing anything. EFSH is pulling back in, so I want to find one which is currently going. You guys can always help, and I have a couple of scans I'm looking at to see if we can find something that's in the midst of going and not a dying quail like this Peggy here. And then Ian Rispetto, between AMAT and LAM, LRCX, at these current levels after the ASML pullback, which looks better for a long-term buy upside? That's a really great question. Now, usually I just lean to which one do you think is the better company? And that's tricky because I really love what ASML does in terms of their speciality, but then they have the bigger China risk than I think LAM does. So if you look at these two, let me just pull up ASML. I want to have the daily and the weekly here. When I look at what ASML is particularly doing, like it's at the 200 period on the weekly. I'll just pop that out. On the weekly chart, it's at and bouncing off the 200 on the weekly. And I kind of already said this, maybe it was yesterday or maybe it was a couple of days ago, that if it closes and opens on Monday and we hold this and we hold above this 200 on the weekly next week, then that's a stock that I would like to buy at that level because I think you could just give it to the 200 period, and if it holds it, you're just holding on to that one forever, or you can just give it to that 200 period. Like it's a couple of easy ways to do it. You can trade it off the 200, or you can hold it forever. It looks really good. If a company is a good company and you get that 200 on a daily or a weekly, especially coming off bad news where it can't seem to make a fresh low, I do like it. Now, on the other hand, I instinctively went to AMAT instead of LAM. I don't know why I do that. They're all basically, they make the stuff that makes the chips, right? So they make the machines that make the chips. So they're all related. That's why I would have just done it. So with LAM here, the problem is, it's on support. They did a split. They're on support right now. You have yet to bounce it. The 200 period on the weekly is a little bit lower. And then see what this says? Yeah. You got to see what happens next week. Like, we already got the news from ASML, so you can formulate a plan with ASML, understanding that we already got an update that the market didn't like. But when it comes to LAM, well, you're going to have to dodge their report, which is a little bit of a different story. So de facto, the answer for me is ASML, because I can formulate a plan of action after we've already got that update that everybody hated. With LAM, I would want to wait until, like, if it holds this bottom here after earnings, then yeah, sure, they're both good companies. I don't think you can go really wrong, but for myself, it's an easy answer in the short term. That's why I was saying ASML the other day. But it's not like you can really go wrong. In the long run, they're both going to be, I think, fine. You can throw AMAT in there as well. Let's go to Adair.
Just really quickly, we're going to talk about a different stock, but I just saw this news come in. Apparently, a spokesperson from Google has said that a U.S. judge has granted Google's request to temporarily pause the injunction which orders the App Store reforms in the Epic Games case. So keep an eye on some of these apps and seeing MTCH, that would be the match company tagged here. Basically, to just recap that story, Google spokesperson saying that the judge has granted the company's request to temporarily pause its injunction which orders the App Store reforms in Epic Games case. So that injunction ordering the reforms has apparently been paused. Keep an eye on some of these app companies to potentially move in response to that. Now, I also have BIVI up here. Biovie, this one up about 80% right now. Another small cap runner. Looks like a little bit later to the game with nice volume increases here. This one a couple days ago received notice here that of an allowance for a Japan patent application with regards to its cirrhosis treatment. So BIVI apparently allowed to apply for this patent in Japan for its cirrhosis treatment. But that was a couple days ago. No new catalyst on this. We have a float of about 5.5 million shares. 7% of that's going to be sold short. Market cap of $13.2 million, and 31.3% of that 5.5 million share float is going to be insider owned. So decent insider owned portion, decent short float, and pretty small float and market cap for BIVI.
Love to see it dip into VWAP. I mean, the $2 level just bounced right now. I'd love to see this one pull back into VWAP. I'm going to throw that one up on a level 2 so that I have it locked and loaded and ready to go. This looks like it could be a good one. You got volume still holding. You got higher lows. You have pretty much everything that you're going to want out of it. And Arthur, like right now, only in one position. I don't want to ignore anything. SOUN, it's got a nice move. You're holding the higher lows, but notice the difference in that BIVI volume. Man, that stock is poison. That volume is absolutely sick. Whereas you had the volume spike on SOUN here, and then pretty much nothing. You guys can see like the volume immediately die down. That's the issue for me. So yes, you've got the breakout. It's hard to continue when you don't have volume. So maybe the volume starts to pick back up again, and SOUN is on the radar. 5%, it's not bad. There's no question about it. But these, like some of these other runners, like they're going much bigger moves than that. And that's just providing, I think, some better opportunities here, like this BIVI. It doesn't even seem to want to get down into VWAP. Like there was just some buyers at 2. Would have been nice if it did a bit of a failed break of the $2 level, and then you could play into VWAP, which it's been hugging the whole way. But sometimes when it hugs VWAP like this, it's almost too simple. Like everyone's going to want a VWAP entry on this thing, and maybe that means it just doesn't get there. And if it does get there, you don't want it. So I'll have a look at this too. Ideally, a failed break of 2 that everyone thinks is going to VWAP that immediately holds back up, get the long just in front of $2 and see if it can roll right into the high. So yeah, BIVI looks like a good one. 90%. We've seen so many of these go from 90%. You look back at it in 30 minutes and we're at 150, 200% to the upside. I want to give myself a chance to play off this 2 level.
Yeah, I think, again, with a lot of these small caps running, we already talked about with drug doing over 3,000 to 5,000 over the past couple of days there. Definitely small cap season is among us. And it seems like some of these tickers are using any and every reason to catch a bit of a move here. As again, definitely participants are going to be attracted to the market whenever these things kind of happen. I think shout out to MN America. With the super chat there. Thanks for the show kindly. What is going on with Intel is what they're asking here. I know you really like this ticker.
Usually going down, but
Intel has been holding. It's been doing nicely. It has not been bad at all. If you look at a higher time frame here, today we're pretty much sideways. Nothing too crazy within the range of yesterday's price action as well. If you go to a daily chart, this is an inside bar right here today. Today's printing an inside bar of prior day's action, so nothing too crazy happening here. But when you do look at the daily, wow, look at all those anchors that I have. We have a long ways to go. Anyways.
Yeah.
So with a low of 18 halves right here, you can see that this thing, yeah, it's been selling off here. All-time highs here at 62.29, currently trading at 18.51. Oh boy, sorry, currently trading at 22.58. Sorry, the low is at 18.51 of this consolidation over the past few months here. But yeah, this huge gap, Neil. Prior earnings. So is it going to take this earnings for us to send it right back up? I have it here as October 31st. So at the end of the month, we're getting some Intel earnings here. And last earnings, we gapped all the way down, all the way from 28s down to 21s, 22s, and maybe a little bit lower with that low again at that 18.5. So interesting stuff. We've kind of made a bit of a base and stepping on top of it. Got some bottoms here at that 21 mark. But yeah, what's going on with Intel? I don't know, Neil, but the price action looking interesting here as it continues to kind of sell off from those highs here. Again, trading underneath these prior consolidation lows as well as a bit of support, maybe some support from here and here, support turned resistance, perhaps, at just shy of that 24 level. But what do I know? It's just a chart.
Come on, Centipede. Well, it is just, it's all just charts. That's all we ever look at. BIVI, so no one, I was like Bill Biv DeVoe. It's not really. The stock is poison. That's what I'm rolling with. It doesn't matter. It just bounced off $2 clean. Like not 205, not 206, not 202, $2 even. It got right to the $2 level, which we're looking for. I drew a trend line. I'm like, it's just a habit. I look at a stock which is making a parabolic move, I draw a trend line. It doesn't matter. It's a $2 level that just held. If it loses 195, I'm going to get out. I've already scalped it into the quarter mark at this point. So we got in. I've taken half out as we speak, and I'll give you the other half, maybe a little bit to the high, actually. Get another leg out if we make a test at that 30 level on BIVI. Like, these are the small cappers that are doing, it's doing volume. Like, that's the difference between, nothing against SOUN, but breaking higher, still doing extended volume. That's the difference. That's the one that you want to be in. And it doesn't mean SOUN's not going to go, and it doesn't mean that this is going to go through the high of the day. But it does mean it gives you that chance. Like, now at this point, it can't turn into a loser, and I get to hold on for the dream. Maybe we see 250. Maybe we see something insane. $3 is obvious resistance here on the daily chart. Like, who knows? $4 is absolutely pretty crazy here. But we've seen a few of these go. So you want to try to find an entry point, scalp out, then play with house money and see how far one of them is able to go here. PAS is also going through. Like, silver is breaking out. We already showed SLV on the daily chart. That's going. And now Pan American is breaking its 52-week high as we speak. Like I said, the tricky thing here is it's not as if it's giving you any traditional setups for entering the trade outside of just, hey, just punch long and then give it to a line on the chart. Which is never really a strategy that I've liked employing. But I was looking for some kind of a dip here. It's now making that break. It's such a slight and steady move up. Not really giving any obvious entries. That's the thing with something like a BIVI or these runners. Like, usually you'll be able to find some kind of an entry point in there. Win or lose, I can get that price action, get the quick win. Don't really have much of a setup for that PAS. It is going. I wish I was in it right now to just hold on. I feel like it's probably a better swing than that is a day trade in PAS. You know, like if it closes, confirms above that 52-week high, that high on the weekend or over the weekend, then you enter into a new leg to the upside. That's a little bit an easier trade than trying to find some kind of a long here where I wouldn't have an out if I got in. I just can't figure one on silver. What a great run it's on, though. Every single time in the aftermarket show, we've talked about how SLV is not participating in the break, and now it's starting to go.
Yeah, people in the chat calling out Tesla. So I did pull it up. Tesla right here, pushing to. Oh boy. Okay, so I already got that line here. Kind of at that triple twos. I like that area. Sure, we've watched it a couple times, but again, I like the price. I like the stock as well. When we talk about some higher lows forming, let me get that. Let me get those lines out of the way here. You can see the naked chart perfectly well. Without all that mess. And you can see that we've been consolidating nicely after that leg down. Again, we talk about that robotaxi event. We've been consolidating pretty much sideways from a range of, say, let's say 216, 218s-ish to that triple two, give or take a few points on each side. Again, if you want to say extreme highs right there, 224s and then 213s. Just shy of 214s right there, 213.75 is that low. But interesting action here on Tesla, and we talk about higher time frame as well. What is this area? Again, it could be absolutely nothing, but how I'm looking at it right here, again, I'm going to throw it up on a 3 hour right here, and then pull it in. Where are we? Okay, so yeah, so we have this. I'll go even higher. We'll go to the weekly. How about that? So weekly, you can see it much nicer here, these weekly highs trending to the downside. And then now we're starting to go sideways, right? That trend is starting to break on a higher time frame right there. Strong selling back into that trend is getting bought up. And sure, we watched it a little bit here, but we have made some higher lows relatively as well. This prior low being 213.74 from, I guess, not from today. Last week was 217.38, and then this week 213.74. 74, so a little bit lower there, but higher lows overall since this low here on April 22nd, and then more prior lows right there. So interesting action here on Tesla, but yeah, pushing for high a day as of right now. So going back to the shorter time frame, you can see it is pushing up on some increasing volume. Going down to a 3-minute chart, you can kind of see that volume starting to come in. Midday, we pretty much consolidated sideways in between 221 halves and 220s, 220 halves ish. On pretty much relatively low volume, a lot of that volume being done in that morning session. You can see how quickly that volume starts to die off here in and around 11 to 12 o'clock right there. So significantly lower volume bars, almost half the size of the ones in the morning session here on Tesla. Interestingly enough, we're back at those highs with some volume coming back into this ticker. Triple twos, again, with that high right there at that 22426. So only 2 points away. Can Tesla do 2 points going into the close? Yeah, sure. We still got about an hour and 5 minutes left. So
it's possible
to happen, but I have no idea.
And this is why you got to have it out. And you also got to me, I always take profit on a low float runner and not just hope for the dream. So we did play out into 225, but then it lost the support, jumped out of the trade. I kid you not. The second this broke support, I saw people popping up that drug was going. I'm like, you kidding me? Like, it goes from one to another. So this was going on volume, had to play back in the upside, does not make a fresh high. We get out underneath support, not waiting for VWAP in this case, which would have broken anyways. You would have just lost more if you waited for VWAP. We played it off of that 2 area, gave it to 95s. But the second that happened, okay, maybe not the exact second, but right after that happened, drug went. It's almost as if like it goes from, we're going from one to another. Like the second that one is like Biovie or whatever it's called, decides it wants to slow down, drug makes a fresh high and just starts going parabolic. As we said before, these suckers are squeezing the heck out of people. And this one's different. Like BIVI is very, very different from what's going on in drug. Like drug is on a different level at this point. You could say it's on drug.
Drugs on a whole different level?
It's on a whole nother level. I mean, this thing was $2, $2.50 a couple of days ago. It's at 67. It is definitely, it's more HKD than it is anything else that we're looking at here. So yeah, and it also, look, it does make it trickier to trade.
Oh.
Like we're not, like nobody here is, I'm not going to be here to pretend that working risk, like you say, you look at this, like, why not just take a $61 breakout here? I'm like, okay, so 61 break, you're out 58 maybe? Let's give it $3 in there. Your slippage on this thing is not going to be, it's not like taking a breakout in Square to $61 when your slippage is going to be, 5 cents on whatever your stop is at. Your slippage could be $1 on this. Easy. And it might be more than that if it loses support. And if you don't use a market order, you might not get the fill at all. And it can go into halts. There's so much more dealing with this off of some of these highs that I just don't like chasing. I'd rather take a shot at a BIVI where I know your liquidity is going to be there. It's a cheaper stock, 23 million shares. Here on a $1.80 stock like BIVI, 23 million shares on drug, which is 68. But the level 2 in liquidity is almost non-existent. So there's a lot going on here. You can call it the widow. It's a widow maker for shorts. That's for sure. Airy pages. No worries about that. Darwin, is that true? I heard something in my ear. What's crazy is a lot of times if we're talking, I don't necessarily hear everything from our news source here. But yeah, Humana, Darwin saying Humana takeover bid. I did hear a story come through my ear, but I didn't actually catch exactly what it is. So I'm just going to make sure that's actually true. Don't know if that's the case. It's certainly reacting like it. There was a big volume spike there in Humana. I haven't seen anything on the wire, but I did hear a story that I didn't quite catch. So big move there. Oh, seriously, Fabian? They barely listen to me either. I always listen to Fabian. I mean, I'm more likely to listen to Ramin than Fabian because Ramin is always bringing me treats. It's just true.
There's that like she's not here till what? Till a couple of more weeks? Or no? There's a galaxy in the fridge.
There's a what?
Like a chocolate?
No, but that's hers. No. The thing is, Ramin is always kind enough. Like she'll share. You don't steal someone else's stash out of the fridge. Like that's just like basic office etiquette.
She did say there are bars in the fridge. I had a conversation. Anyways.
What, like that we're allowed to have?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you're allowed to have, Neil. But I had the conversation with Ramin, and she was like, "Yeah, there's some chocolate that I got from I guess back home or something like that." And she was like, "Yeah, no, definitely." Oh, they're good. I mean,
you're asking. Hold on, look at the chat right now. Michael P, what kind of treats can bribe you? Oh, okay. And then Starburst, without hesitation, you have to bribe Neil with apple fritters.
Yes.
Now that is true, I have a ridiculous sweet tooth. So like I have a lot of discipline with when it comes to like what I eat. My problem is it's right in front of me. Like my wife hides the cookies. Like I'm just one of those. I'm 100% one of those. And my brother I have an older brother that used to always, he'd just have his stash and he would make sure not to share. And when the Pop-Tarts, we didn't get a lot of sweet stuff when I was a kid. If we got Pop-Tarts in the house, like he'd open it up and take some and then hide it in his room so I couldn't have the flavor I liked because he was like that. And he ate a lot of food. So I'm traumatized by that, so I always want my food. But I got a sweet tooth like you know what. But like there's a lot going on here. That Humana, whether or not, I still haven't heard any. Okay, here we go. Actually, yeah, here we go. I just saw it now. Traders circulating unconfirmed M&A blog rumors suggesting they've received a takeover bid. The keywords there being unconfirmed M&A blog rumor. So not only do you have unconfirmed in there, and you've got rumor suggesting that they've gotten a takeover bid. Now, this is what a company usually looks like when you start hearing rumors like that, which is it's been beaten up badly and it's trying to catch a bit of a bid. I wouldn't have a clue what a premium would look like on Humana here, but yeah, worth keeping an eye on it. But I don't like that whole unconfirmed part, and then it's only a rumor as well. So I would stay away. It's a $200 stock. I mean, the spread's like 50 pennies on it as we speak. So I don't know how tradable that is going to be. Okay, PAS. Pan American. I just looked up and I was like, okay, Pan American just did an actual dip. Holy crap, it can actually go down. So when you're looking for some kind of a dip to be able to get in, and again, like all I'm looking at right now is AMD, which we're still in off of VWAP, kind of Amazon as well, some of these small cappers, and then the silver move that's going on here. So there's your higher low. I think you play off of that, see if I can't get something in the 40s. And we can participate in this move. Or maybe we just take a break of the high and I give it to that 40. We'll see. I'm trying to get the mid-40s as we speak. Oh, we just got another super chat there from Yoel. You want this one? Or? Oh, we have to go. We'll do the super chat, Yoel. We have to go up to the desk with Adara, and we'll come right back.
Just some notes here on this Humana situation. So I looked into this because I was trying to figure out what happened. I saw a tweet from about 3 minutes ago saying that according to Betaville, this website here, Humana has reportedly received a takeover bid. I went on Betaville and looked under Humana. They haven't posted about this in almost a year. So I'm not really sure where these rumors are coming from or what they refer to. Like I said, not seeing anything on Betaville here, only seeing 3 other tweets since that first tweet suggesting this rumor. But again, very unconfirmed, very, I would say, speculative potential takeover here for HUM. Not even saying who's supposed to take them over. It's worth noting they're scheduled to report in about 2 weeks. So on October 30th, before the bell, HUM will be reporting their earnings. If I see anything on this story, I will let you know. But worth noting, I'm not really even seeing sure. I'm not really sure where this speculation is coming from, guys.
Always want that clarification, but we always tell the kids, stay off the drugs.
Yeah.
Obi doesn't listen.
It is a Friday, though, Neil.
Obi doesn't listen.
It's a Friday, though. Like, I don't know.
I hope this thing goes to $100 today. That would be the most epic thing ever.
I don't know. I'm just testing stuff out. Nothing. I haven't really put on any.
Now it's going to 100, and I'm getting FOMO sitting next to you.
But I like what it's been doing. I like the little trap, and then pushing into some of these highs going into the last hour of the day. Okay, come on. How much more does a chart need to scream that players are offside on this ticker? But again, just playing for decision making here. So let's.
This
see
is going to go to 75.
No, I think if it has that if it has it in it, then yeah, sure, we can see that 75. But what do I know? We can pull all the way back down to 57 Before we know it, we can halt up, halt down. I have no idea. But nice little build up on top of those 57s and then break out of the 60, break out of that prior high into 66, 67s right here. Trading 71.20s, but a 50 to 60 penny spread. Sometimes it's a point, sometimes it's less, but I'm just watching it right now, Neil, so no idea. Other ticker that I'm watching as well is the IONQ. IONQ still trading a little bit sideways here. Some nice little pullback in on IONQ. There are 72s on the ask, a little bit of a reserve happening in between the spread. That's interesting here.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, I think this tape over the past couple of days here on drug is invaluable. So I definitely want to kind of, you know, continue watching it, learn from it, and kind of, you know, I want to be involved in this ticker, in tickers that have this kind of price action much earlier going forward in the future. So I'm just trying to take a couple of reps, just testing out some ideas as per se. So, you know, not really fully into the drug, but, you know, taking some samples, let's say.
Oh, I love the puns write themselves with this thing. Legitimately, it's FOMO because it's through 73 right now. Like it got through that reserve order at 72, and then the fact that there's even a reserve order at prices like this.
Yeah, someone has orders in, dude.
No, but like that's like there's like come on, someone's not entering a short with an iceberg order at 72. Someone was just taking profit. Someone's hella long.
Baby.
No, so yeah, someone's hella long that was taking that.
74
already. Oh my.
Or they
goodness,
just have reserve orders for getting out of their short position, right? That's also a thing. There are significant orders on this ticker right now, is what I'm seeing. At highs in the last hour of the day. I like that. I like that.
So I apologies to Yoel. I know we had the super chat that I wanted to get to, but I mean, drug almost got to 75 there, so it is what it is. No, well, I'll get to. I did mean to get to it. So we did have that super chat from Yoel. What do you guys think of DNN? That's on the Amex, which for anyone out there that's not a NASDAQ or New York stock. Dennis, I don't really know too much about it. They report on my mom's birthday, and on the daily chart, well, seriously, they do, which is coming up. But DNN about to break some fresh highs. Well, okay, I shouldn't say about to break fresh highs because then I have a habit of jinxing things that are like pre-breakout, right? That's just my bad. It's like a superpower of mine. No, but it's getting very close to a breakout here. I don't know too much specifically about the company. Decent short float. It's only 5% though, and it's a very, very large float name. It is absolutely not a day trade. A day trading stock that's traditional to what anybody would look at. Like if I show you what it's going to look like.
Oh, what a reserve at 74.
Like that's what it's going to look like here. Like that's intense. Yeah, it's a little bit intense when you. No, like, and these are 100 lots too, right? So like this is a very, very liquid name. So the stair step action is going to be like pennies at a time, but obviously it is in the midst of a strong run at resistance on huge volume. Like usually this is the area that if I'm in a break, like hold of the 50 period or sorry 200 period break of $2, like I'm looking to take my profits out in front of 240 and then wait for the next available move. Which could be a pullback into the prior high. It could be a break of the top. It could be a retest of the two. Like all kinds of things can happen there. So shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. Meanwhile, drug did get to 75. The FOMO is real, and drug is going to break 75. It's going to 100 now because it's going to 100. You have a target for this thing?
Target. See how high we can get. I don't know. All I know is that I know nothing.
It's going, man.
I mean, there was reserves at 75s. We saw reserves sitting in the middle of the spread, and then now 75s has reserves on it as well. So it's definitely doing some decent volume. And like the block boys are here, so 75 break. Again, nothing too crazy here. 75 break. I don't know if we're going to send it off the 75, but again, interesting, looking kind of similar to this reserve that was happening at 74s. 74s did a nasty little pullback, and then we broke back above for a 75 break right there. Look at that; it keeps hitting the ask right there on the 75, but nothing really happening there. As again, maybe some selling aggressively happening at that 75. So again,
they could lit grab this,
yeah, of course,
off this like steep trend. And then if it goes back into that prior high, that could give you one of those like snapback. So the prior high is like this, like 67.5. Yeah, so there's the break at 75.
Break.
Okay, will it sustain the 75 break? Yes.
Boom.
Already to 77. This is going, it's going to $100.
I like that. Come on, print it.
This is going to $100.
Print it. There we go. Take it out.
Oh, you took it?
I was sitting at 77s. I like that.
Damn, son.
All right,
oh my
that was some good decision making right there. I think the pullback, it pulled back to 68, right? So after I got in 71 cleans, it pulls back to 68s. So what am I risking there? I told you what I was risking. I looked over, I'm like, all right, ideally I'm risking down to 65, 66s, right? Getting in at 71s. I think that's kind of where some of these prior highs are lying right there, where that aggressive selling kind of came in. So I'm like, all right, that aggressive selling, maybe there are people risking off of that aggressive selling, and oh boy, here we go, 78s and some change. But you know what?
100?
I like the meat of the move. So I don't know. Again, like I said,
no one ever went broke taking profit. This thing could
I'm just making decisions. I'm trying to learn this action. Of course, this could have very well easily halted down. What do I know?
But that is
I liked what I saw.
It was a clean trade.
And yeah.
Clean. That was clean.
Thank you. 80s incoming. Look at the same kind of reserves happening at 79s right there.
I'd watch out. If it does a false break of one of these levels, then you could get, like if it goes down and tries to halt down off a false break and still catches a bid, then you know it might see 100. Like, let's see what happens when they try to rinse it to the downside. Like if the reaction is an immediate buy back up, then this sucker can go. But wow, this is insane. Like it's basically HKD.
I'm telling you,
at this point, it's basically.
What did we say is going to happen after depending on how it acts with 75, right?
Yep. And now it goes right to 80. Effectively,
if this thing is squeezing into power hour, like you know when the last time I saw that, I was going to use some words. When
when you saw that ish?
Yeah, when I saw that ish it was when I was blowing up accounts. I would be like, why is this bidding up into the last hour? Why is it doing this? All these questions, overthinking, and then you start to realize people are just stuck.
Yep.
When things start to smell irrational,
that's all it is. People
are offside.
That's all it is.
People are offside. Clearly, there's demand. We're seeing the order flow kind of tell us that okay, there's volume going through. I don't know what that volume is doing. Here's the dump. Look at that, back through 72s from a high of 78.
Okay, this is
oh boy. So a little bit of action there.
It doesn't even get to 70.
I did get a little lucky on that. No, it doesn't get to 80 there. But again, the higher this thing goes, I think the range is going to expand as well in terms of volatility, right? We've seen what these squeezers can do. Sometimes even drop down. And look, it's about to halt down as well if it goes any lower back through that 70. So action definitely looking distinctly different underneath that 80 right there. But let's see where it picks up. If the bid is real, Neil, where will it catch? That's always the question.
You could actually, so just for this stock, you can put a trend from 7 a.m. that is unbroken. And when I did this, and I just did this now, and I'm going to be kicking myself because like usually I'm like, what stock like this? Who cares about the trend line? Like look at it. Pretty much, there's like 830s in here, and then you could have connected a little bit better to 7 a.m. when some of the volume comes in. But look at how nicely it lined up. You can pull back to $60 without breaking a day-long trend. It's at 72. So if they just did a bit of a rinse, it might not be over. The question is, can it respond to this kind of a dump with either immediately buying back and breaking out the high, or can it follow through and go right back into the trend line? That's the question that I want to see. It's hard to not have this up. I'm going to hit save, so I have this trend the whole time. Although it's really easy to see, it's going to connect to 60. The longer we go on, it'll have some higher connections in there. But that's a great look on these stocks. Yeah, I probably should have taken a pot shot at it because silver doesn't do anything. We take the consolidation long. Well, this is Pan American. silver is going, but then it doesn't really break any higher. And that's a tricky thing with a linear move like that. You're just looking for a pullback where it can maybe continue that trend up, as opposed to jumping in something which is going a little more parabolic. I want to go that BV. I can't believe this even got back to the upside too. Like the second, remember we're in the long, and the second that came back through $2, then you had drug go higher. Well, drug does that candle to the downside, and BIVI starts going up. It's hilarious how this is working.
We're going in for a halt, Neil. Halting down 68.40s.
No, but see, remember, like the trend line's at 60. Like it could halt down.
That's what I'm saying. This could halt
reopen and still catch a bid at $60. So like, I'm gonna let it halt down. I'm not doing anything.
There it is, halted down.
It's halted to the downside.
To wipe out some orders.
Like the out was perfect, actually.
I got lucky. I provided the liquidity at 77s.
Yeah, we have a thing for that, Fabian, that we want to do.
Slow down. These guys are slowing me down. Okay, like I said, I did not have that much risk on. I just took the idea. Again, we talk about this. I talked about this morning. I'm trying to make better decisions.
And you made a great decision, and you provided the liquidity. More importantly, now why the guys in the back? You have to be sitting
there. No, think about it.
Joe was laughing back here.
Right?
The boys were the reason why they were laughing, and I'm not saying whether or not anything is going to happen with regards to this. Is Obi may or may not have made that line famous, and there might have been a bottle of something involved when that line was uttered famously by Obi. Maybe we'll have something.
Yeah.
We need to get what I
sent Fabian the video.
Okay, so Fabian has the video.
Yes.
And whether or not we can figure out a way to be able to share that with you, we should, I think, but that's up to you. It's not my call. It's not my quote. So
I'm open to
provide that liquidity.
Yeah.
Provide that liquidity.
No, but here's the thing. If something is squeezing, right, who's offside? And technically you will have to think about providing them the liquidity that they need. I think that if you have that kind of mentality, the market tends to pay you more often than not.
Yeah. Who is
You're providing a service.
You are providing.
It's like in any market. If you provide a service, then I don't know.
Oh, and that was a clean trend break. Can't say that enough. And it held that trend all day long. So what's crazy is Frank just said in the chat here, I guess 100 on drug is off the table. Now, where I would put this in the HKD range is just because it's halted down. So it did this before, but this is during the halt fest. It did a halt down into 55 and then held on to 50 without even getting back into the whole day trend. So it could easily open up, test lower, do the same thing, open underneath the halt price. Right now it's indicating 69, which would be a little bit higher, but it can open up lower. It could easily find a bid along the trend and bounce back up. The thing about a move like this is now you probably have some 75 shorts that have just put 75 on. Because anybody that shorted the 75 level, either they got in on the way down, fortunately enough, or they were just giving it to 80. Or they're just giving it to 80. Yeah. So what happens if it doesn't follow through past this prior high and bounces off trend? Now they're like, oh crap, when it gets back above 75 as well. And then you just trap more people to the short side of the trade. So it could be Kiel in the chat just said, Kiel Lin, naked shorts, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, look.
Someone's stuck, that's for
sure. Yeah, somebody's stuck.
Whether they're naked or
whether or not they are, who's to say? And a lot of times in these situations that it does kind of happen to be true, but it's not like I can't prove anything, so whatever, we're just speculating at this point. I mean, you're probably right, but it is what it is. Everyone knows how the market works, so and what shouldn't happen and what obviously always does there. So yeah, good luck to anyone that's still in drug. Thankfully, I think that was a fantastic out. Yeah, stay off the drugs, always. What else is going on? EFSH was moving. I'm just trying to find, while this is halted, this is the one that I felt it's trying to go off the $5 level. So this was a huge trend reversal. Yeah, so this candle in here, I actually had this one up because it's starting to go through VWAP, but I had this steep trend line while this was halted because I'm like, I've never actually charted this before. And then said, well, what if you have a steep trend line that halts up and then immediately fails to trend? Like, couldn't you just short it and give it back to the high? Then you've got two strategies in one. Well, the answer is there was pretty much no chance to get filled. So yeah, it did work. Like it opened up, immediately failed the trend line, but you have to get the short back through the halt price and within seconds, it was halted down like $2. So there was no realistic execution to short this, but I left my trend line up there because it was just an idea, but I don't think there was a realistic way to have had good risk on that. You probably wouldn't have gotten anything until $9 for size. And then now all of a sudden you're giving it to 10, which changes everything. But it's starting to get off of VWAP here, holding the $5 level. Would like to see this stair step up on EFSH. It's hilarious how few of these I actually even know the name of these. 1847 Holdings Limited. That's the name of this company. 1847 Holdings Limited. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's up 230%. Is it supposed to make rational sense? Probably not. So yeah, if it can hold VWAP, maybe hold above that $6 level, show some higher lows. It's a consolidation play at this point, but it already broke 550. So either you want that into 5.
Oh, here's open.
Or breaking over the 5. Okay, drug is back open again. Okay, just wanted to line something else up in case drug does absolutely nothing.
Oh, that one does look nice. It seems like there's definitely limits holding that $5 level there on that one. It's showing up on the chart, you know.
It is.
Here's drug coming down to 65s right here. So a little bit of a discounted drug right here off of the highs. What is the high, you may ask? 79.02s I have on my level 2 here is the high of day, trading at 66s. This is where I was like, yeah, I'm probably really wrong if we get below that 66, 65 mark, and we're holding that as of right now. Again, prior highs, we see that action there, this halt up mess that we had in and around that, orbiting that 65 mark. I like that area there as well. And then again, breaking out of that, pushing into 70 and actually holding 70. Oh boy, I really like that move. And then again, with the type of volume and a lot of the reserves happening at every kind of mark past that 70, that was interesting as well. But we're taking a little bit of a breather. Somebody in the chat said, oh, so 100 is off the table? I think absolutely not. We can see, again, as Neil pointed out earlier, we halted up towards, was it 66s, 68, 69s. We pulled back below 55s, and then we grinded all the way back up to make another high just underneath 80 at 79. So this thing can definitely continue. We saw what happened on day 2 after hours. It pushed even higher, kind of squeezing into the after hours. Now, you got to remember, there are no halts in the after hours. So again, interesting look at some of these tickers at the kind of price action and the kind of moves and ranges you can kind of cover in the after hours and the pre-market on something that has, again, somewhat of a short float and maybe some players offside. So it's going to be interesting what we do going into the close today, and as well what price action will have been going into the 8 p.m. close and how we open back up on Monday as well on this drug. So long-lasting effects. Might want to talk to your doctor about that one.
Oh, he's full of them today. I love it. Drug. Did you see the? Did you show the offer right now?
Which one? 70?
No, like so. Somebody's just come to my level 2 here. Yeah, somebody. Oh, yeah, really? They just pulled. Look at 72 on the book. There was 30,000 at 72, and then there was another chunk order. I think it looked at like 73. And the second I was about to show it live, I think it maybe just got too far away from the price. But somebody was sitting off the book a couple of dollars with size, which I'm gonna guess they don't actually want. So, oh yeah, give me a break. I just saw it again. I go away from it. Right, it's not showing up there. Anyways, there's one at 72. I saw 30,000. I saw 20,000 on some of those even dollars. I feel like someone's trying to like hold it down. And so the way that someone can do that with less risk of getting filled for an order that they don't want is by simply, let's say they're sitting for 20,000 at 72 and 30,000 for 73. They can have an order at like 70 that once triggered cancels the other ones. And then the only way they're getting filled is if a market order comes up and takes it all in one shot. On that much size, it's pretty unlikely. So they can flash that size without fear of actually getting hit, and it allows them to make it look like they want that order. Because the rule against spoofing is, hey, you got to leave the order in to prove that you want it. Well, if you just leave that order sitting there that anybody can hit it if they want for minutes at a time, 10, 15 minutes, but if they have another order in there, you can just hit that one and then cancel the others. That gives them a level of protection. That's how people get not to say that people probably still spoof. That's a way that they get around it. So I don't think, nobody wants that 30,000 shares, I don't think, if they're trying to enter into a short position. They probably want to take profit if they have that much. Yeah, but drug does not get down to the trend. Not a very good sign, I think, for anybody that might be trapped in it. That EFSH is now starting to hold on to VWAP in here. It just popped into 650, so it did a nice bounce into some resistance, and then you're getting another bounce here off of VWAP. I'd like to be able to find a way to give it to 565, but I don't want to miss the boat here completely. I'll see if I can get in at 10s. I want to be giving it to this 565. Or you're giving it about 1 point or like 1%, I suppose, is the way that I should be saying that. So we'll give it to that 60, but I'm not getting any fills here at 10, which usually means step in at like 12 or something like that. I don't want to chase it too far. I want the fill to be off of 6. Oh, I got 11s. Okay, there we go. Thought I went to 12. Apparently I went to 11 because sometimes that's how we roll. Whatever, it's a couple of cents. It doesn't really make a difference. Now, the way I'm rolling, I want to play it to here, and I want to play it to there, which is 7. And then you've got this little halt level at 750. So if this one's going to go next, I'm not like Obi. I am scalping out into 7 and then 750, and then we can hold for the dream. Because as far as I'm concerned, none of these should be doing what they're doing, and they're just all going on concert with each other. All right, so now I'm out of half of it, and I'm going to trail it back into about 650 because I don't want this sucker going into a halt on me. I am not the same as Obi and his diamond.
You got to ride those halts, man.
You're the
Unless you've rode any halts.
No, I've done that in the past.
Oh yeah.
It's not my cup of tea.
Definitely.
It's not like fun. It's not in my DNA to want to hold through like successive halts. So actually, you know what I can do here? Just for what I can do is do like a 75% out underneath that 650. I don't have to take it all out. So we have a few different stop orders that we can use here at Real Trading. So what I can do here is now that you've got the first stage move, which is 6 to 7, now we're looking for the press into 750. I've already taken half out, and I don't want this to flush back under VWAP. I can get out 75% if it loses 650, and then quickly be on the keys to throw a stop underneath VWAP for a secondary out. That way, there's no way you can lose on there's no way I can lose on the trade at that particular point. So just a bit of a different way to do it. This is not drug. Like EFSH is not like DRUG. Therefore, thinking it's going to go from 6 to 10 is kind of, it's kind of crackheaded. Like, it's not the same thing. Drug is the one that's making the crazier moves. It's the one that, maybe that's the wrong term to use. If anyone doesn't like that term, that's my bad. It's just a little bit different. It's on a first day move, but it's a more normal move in a grand scheme of things than what you see in drug. Like, drug is an outlier HKD type of play. So I don't want anyone to get it twisted. Like, I'm very happy that it went 6 to 7. Very pleased. As a matter of fact, I'm itching to take more out if it fails 7 twice. I don't want it failing this level twice. If it does that, I might inch my way out of some more. But I do want it out still in front of the 750 level. So I'm going to pop something in front of 750 to make sure we get a fill if it goes up there. I want to respect these halt reopen areas. Yeah, see, it's not even getting to the 40s. So I'm going to go Magic Johnson on that bad boy and just take it. Actually, I got 35s in there. All right, now we can try to let it ride. I'll still go with that 75% out if it loses 650, and we'll hold for a break and then see how far it can go, because it looks like we're in a small cap market. Like, I'm looking over at Amazon, and it's doing absolutely nothing in this short except, whoops, Amazon. Amazon was a long. It's AMD. Like, AMD, same low that I've been waiting for it to break the whole time. No VWAP or trace. Remember I said earlier, like, AMD might go 50 pennies when these things are going 50 cents and it's a $6 stock. So it is what it is. I'm going to call this E-Fresh. 1847 holdings, you're now E-Fresh to me. So E-Fresh, that's the long. I still want to have a quick look at that drug because I think it's a fun one. I don't want to completely give up the notion of that. And there was a question in the chat about SOUN. I still don't think SOUN is quite the same as these other ones. Volume is not happening. It's a great looking bull flag, but just because it's a setup on a chart and had volume before doesn't mean it's going now. If this was going to break out the high and start doing volume like this, 100%. It's just like the others. Ride the wave, do what you can. A trade is a trade. I'm not here to penny stock, small cap, large cap, it doesn't matter. As long as you make money in a trade, who cares? And if someone thinks it's not real trading, then they're not a trader, because traders should only care about making good trades. But if it was going, if sound was going, I'd be all over it. But E-Fresh here off the 6, See, it can't seem to break that 750. It's not the same thing. You know, like that first push came back into 650 in the prior high, held, no break of 750. This one doesn't really want it as bad. So again, I'm going to get most of it out here if it loses the 650 level and all out if it loses VWAP, not turning a winning trade into a losing trade. Like I said, it's just my style. Oh, Adara, sorry.
We're going to end this day and week as we have the last half hour of Power Hour and our trading session by taking a look at some of the larger movers on the S&P 500 to the upside and the downside. I always like to have a theme for this, and what I wanted to do was take a look at some earnings names that are not NFLX, which did just make, by the way, new all-time highs. So where are some other earnings plays on watch here? We did have SLB, Schlumberger, this one on watch, still down about 4% here. They did beat slightly by 1 cent here for their adjusted earnings per share for Q3. However, they missed on sales. They did that ad, though, according to the CEO, said that their digital business is on pace to achieve its full year revenue growth in the high teens. So looks like a good look for the digital business, but that sales miss, sending SLB to the downside. We have a great beat here for ISRG. Slew of price target increases and positive analyst notes for Intuitive Surgical, which is up about 10% after its earnings report. It beat across the board for both EPS and sales here. So great look for ISRG. Last but not least, we talked about this one a little bit, but big downside move for AXP. American Express has recovered decently from its lows, but it's still down about 3% here. They had a sales miss, but they beat on their Q3 2024 earnings per share, and they actually increased their guidance here for their fiscal 2024 EPS. So mixed report here for AXP. Looks like it's trying to recover, though, off the lows, guys.
No, we're kind of talking about how some of these moves were similar. Neil was saying similar to kind of the GME moves,
like the meme stock
meme
moves.
days. Yeah.
Specifically, actually, you know what? Just
days.
Only because, we're just discussing it amongst ourselves. There, might as well share with everybody because that's what we're all about. You know, one of the patented plays in meme days would be you'd have X meme stock does something like this: incredible parabolic move, clean reversion. That's like, okay, well, this is done. Like, it's already done a big Christmas tree. Even if like, imagine this had pulled even all the way down to like $3. But it holds on to this early breakout area here. So let me just get rid of these trend lines for you. So it hangs on to one of these support levels. In this case, it holds on to this consolidation break at noon. It could have been, like maybe a support level down here at $3 or $4. Doesn't really matter. The whole point is you hold that lower high underneath VWAP. Anybody with the initial shorts or the secondary shorts is still pretty good. They're still in the money. Ideally, it doesn't break VWAP the first time. It just hangs out that whole time. Then it ekes up some higher lows. Looks like the VWAP break is doing nothing. Breaks VWAP and does nothing here. Holds under $6. Then explodes off of the $6 break the second time through. So you'd see that a lot in the meme days on something people had given up on. Now, as I said, I was going to get out we had taken out just over half of it into 75, and then what was remaining, I'm now into, like, basically I'm holding on to like 5% of it. Because essentially, I wanted to get almost all of it out here if it failed to 650. It's trying to go again, but even if it breaks 750 at this point, it's like, hold on to 6 or we'll let it fly and don't really have any kind of a target. But to me, this trade was 6 into 7 and then a test of 750. The fact that it held 650 and then couldn't break 750, I think is a little bit, it's probably going to be done at this point, but it could still go. Everyone just has to trade your own thing. Like, to me, I'm taking this long to here, and I'm playing it for these targets, right? Like, bang, somewhere in the middle, tops, retest the prior high, hold the first time, get some out there, then decide to put the trail on, and then you can see if it's going to go further than that. But drug, by the way,
back up to 72s.
Yeah, it doesn't even get anywhere near that trend support. This is day-long trend support. It just halted down. This is the second time that it's halted down on a huge candle and doesn't really, it goes off the reopen, goes lower, doesn't get back into prior support, and still going higher. So when we say a stock can still be bullish after it halted down, this is what we mean. It's still a bullish-looking trend on drug. I just think that's a much more, I mean, obviously, Obi just took it for like $7 on a single trade. I just think
6 points, 6 points.
Yeah, but I just think it's a much more difficult stock to trade. Like, you don't see me
What
trading.
drug is?
You think drug The trade on ESFH
No way.
is a
Large
very
caps
simple.
are so much harder, dude.
I'm comparing it to EFSH.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm just simply saying, and don't like anybody to each their own. Like, it's a great trade. The setup on EFSH is a much easier trade to make. Right, like this tight consolidation off of $6, it breaks 6, you get long some 10s in there. I didn't even have to chase it very far. You get a nice clean move. Drug's a lot harder to trade. There's no question about it. Eyeball 509, Oklo's going. Again?
Okay.
Yo, my physio guy was asking me about this stock straight up yesterday. Sure, and he's into crypto, and he loves Tesla, and I keep telling him about Nvidia. But yeah, he was asking me about OKLO. I was like, well, I don't know how much you want to chase these. I mean, we like SMR, Oklo. I'm just going to call it Oklo. This one's going as well. They're hard moves to chase. If you're in it early, these are great. I think they're going to be solid holds in the long run. But how these moves play out, who knows? And this is another one going. But the problem, again, lower highs on Oklo. It's a great consolidation or a bull flag. I just don't see it really doing much of anything for us here as we speak. Yeah, this one's sort of holding that consolidation level. So the fun party in EFSH, and while all that was going on,
75.
Okay, so in complete hindsight, yeah, it probably could have reloaded AMD, but heck, if you can get a buck on a $6 stock, instead of having to wait the whole afternoon, like I've been short this since before 1 o'clock on AMD, and it's just now trying to go $1. So that's what, like 3 hours? 3 hours it took for AMD short to get a buck. It took a matter of seconds for eFresh to give you $1 trade. It took probably 3 seconds from when Obi got into drug. Now, obviously, it's different. It's a different risk parameter. But if we do bounce off these lows, I'm probably just going to slap a trail on AMD because it's already 336. That's crazy. Let's go to the desk with Adara and come back to some AMD.
This part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite trading experience. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Foresee profitable opportunities with the platform you need. Infinite data and instant trading. Know where the market's moving before others with lightning fast data. Charts that change the game. You can customize and analyze markets faster, your way. Better backtesting and scanning. Predict the future by understanding the past. Reliable real-time data. Up to the second market info from hundreds of global markets. Everything you need all in one place. Don't miss a beat. Execute your best trades now. Ready to elevate your trading game? Scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Thank you to eSignal.
Right,
thank you very much there, appreciate
halting
it.
down 75s, 74s and change, straight down to 65s. Oh boy. That's wild. Halted right now. Last print printing at 65.20s here on drug, all the way down. I was watching this real close. I'm like, all right, like what are we gonna do? We actually got back up to 75s. Okay, all right, maybe we're not done. I look over at a different ticker for 1 second, and I look back, and it's halting down at 65. So that's how fast these things can move if you're not kind of paying attention to them at all times. There, again. Lots of solid price action on this name today. And yeah, no, Neil, I definitely think that sometimes large caps can be much harder than
especially when they're not doing
these tickers, especially when they're not doing anything.
That's the
exactly.
key, when they're not doing anything.
It's like here, it's doing relative volume. There's clearly people offside. It's showing you like the right kind of tape in some of the right places there. And you know, it happens to work out. There's still juice in this, or there was still juice in this move. I have no idea. This could continue. It's holding above VWAP. It's holding some of these prior levels. Let's see how it opens up off of this halt. It is the last half hour. We only have 22 minutes until the bell, and that restriction, that halt restriction, I guess, is going to be taken off. So the shackles will be taken off of the drug after 4 o'clock, and there will be no halts unless there's a news pending halt. That's different. That can happen at any time. Volatility halts.
If they were going to have a news pending halt, wouldn't they have had it already?
I mean, you know, maybe sometimes these things are so strategically timed. Planned, I said planned, but whatever, timed. Either way, however you want to see them. But yeah, how much money? Like, I'm curious to know how much money do these guys really make, right? Are drugs really dealing, or you know, are they not making money? That's the real question. Right? If they're not making money, are they going to do an offering? They were literally at $1 5 days ago.
They got to file. The problem
is 70. They're at 65.
Dude, if they could have already done an offering, I think they would have. They got to they got to do the paperwork.
Right?
And if there was something in the pipeline, I feel like they would have dropped it already.
Looked at the SEC.
I haven't even looked. You got to look for the filings on that.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're wondering why I just went screw-faced there, was I was in the midst of. I was like, do I change my trail? So eFresh started breaking back at above 750, and then I remembered the halt down resistance at the $8 level. Like, oh crap, it's gonna get up here. Do I need to change my stop into 750? Again, I'm only really holding the last 5% of this thing, so I didn't really have anything left on. We already got out. Like the move was here to here, and then I trailed up the bulk of it that we had left down there. But I was like, I had my trailing stop underneath $7. Should I move it up to 750? In the split second I was thinking about it, it dropped right back in. That is a big time reversal candle. I haven't paid for locates, and I probably wouldn't want to go short this thing anyways, but I kind of feel like this one might be rounding out and could be done. So VWAP doesn't matter to me at this point. I think I could care less about that at all. So eFresh, we got the move that we wanted. We'll take it. I probably get done better with the last 5%, and you should care. Whether you're holding on to, whether the last piece you have is big or small, you should treat every decision like it matters, because that's the only way that you're ever going to get better. So yes, I should have been faster to move my trailing stop when it rejected 8. I should have anticipated, remembering $8 was there, and the second we got above 750, moving my trail to like 740 or something like that. That's the better way to have done it. Because if you had a bigger position, I would have done that in a heartbeat. When you have a little bit left, you're like, whatever, who cares? But that's a bad way to go about things. Show me somebody that reacts that way, and that's the guy I want to play poker against. Because you get them into a big pot, and they're not going to be able to make decisions the same way if you just don't care. The guy that doesn't care about the smaller amounts and then cares too much about the bigger ones, you can get them into trouble. But that drug, with the halt down, what's crazy about all of this is it's still technically above the trend support. It's hilarious to be able to say this at this point. You got 62 in here. It's indicating an open underneath that. It's 61, by the way. So it is indicating that it's going to open underneath that resistance, support level, I should say. So it is under some pressure here, I would think. And we'll see what happens. I'm guessing it's going to immediately test the $60 level on DRUG. AMD, I'm going to move my trail back into this prior low. It was at 156. Again, we've been trading the small cap runners. So I've just been sitting in this one since almost 1 o'clock. So about 155.80 or so, just going to hang on to this trail. And I want to make sure we get we didn't get the early look on the imbalances and all this madness. Small cap madness. Early look for the imbalances here. What do we got going on? Whatever this, I don't know any of these. WRB 1.5 million to sell, nothing else over $1 million. That's a buyout, so who cares about that? FXI is very small on FXI. That's a nothing burger. Remember the other day, FXI had paired of like 10 million, but it was like a 3 or 4 million imbalance. That would have been something. But this is a pretty much a nothing burger. John says IonQ's breaking 13. Isn't that the big level, Obi?
What's that? Oh,
IonQ wasn't 13.
It opened up 57s, by the way. I'm just reading. They literally did a Form 4 earlier last week. How funny is that? Drug did a Form 4. Like, okay, so
this is why you should always look at the filings on these things after they've been running.
Form 4 is when there's a change in the holdings of the people who manage the company, right? So whenever there's a material change in the holdings of company insiders, so I have the Form 4 right here for drug right here. So you can see securities acquired or disposed amount following the reported transactions. You can see right here, whoever this was, it's just a lot more, right? They're just holding more. So talk about a corner right there. So where am I looking? Am I reading this right? Hold on. Right here. So boom, we can see that right here. So amount price and then amount of following reported transactions. So small number, big number. I don't know. I can't. What do I know? Interesting stuff nonetheless.
And halted down again. That's the key thing. This is a third down halt. It's loss of support. I think this one might be over time for the time being. 56. Although I say that, the tap is $68 on this. So it's at 56 with the tap all the way up at $68, which makes usually no sense. The other thing we can look at here, so the imbalance locator can actually help us. Because what I'm able to do is, let me just flash up the market time here, because maybe it'll be updating. Maybe I'll go to, see, the problem is there's going to be all these other ones. It's going to be hard to isolate drug to be able to find it. Yeah, you saw it flash. There you go. Like, it's going to flash because it's going to be updating because it's in a current halt. But every time it flashes to the top, it kind of disappears. But you want to see whether or not it's a very small buy. Was the last time it flashed up there. Only like 18 shares. 300, I just saw 200 shares, paired volume of 9,000. So it's a very, very small amount, any imbalance that's coming in. The tap is now down to $54 to the downside on drugs. So it looks pretty nasty there. Yeah, there's some bag holders. There's usually bag holders on things like this. We never want any of our viewers to get caught. It's one thing trading it. It's another thing trying to buy and hold it or trading it without a stop level. Because look at these moves. Like this move upside, where's the excuse for getting caught in this move? Like you had all of this to be able to get out. The uptrend started in the 60s, in the mid 60s. When it bounced back through the halt price, you got this trend. You have out here, maybe you have an out there. Easily, you've got nice little trail out opportunities before it even goes into the halt. You know, like you don't really have much of a technical reason why you'd be in one of these as a trade and still holding through that halt price. So there you go. And then IonQ, which we were just mentioning, through the $13 level.
Go back through 13, I think.
Not a huge acceleration through 13 here. Like it doesn't look like that eFresh stock, EFSH, which is like 1847 something, 1847 holdings. Yeah, that one was different through VWAP, and you're running out of time for it to go. So not as much volume, and not as much strength here in IonQ, so I won't necessarily be touching it. AMD looks like it is catching a bid, however. Yeah, AMD's catching a bid here. I think it is time to exit stage left on AMD. We were just holding this one from a VWAP pop. Like we're short underneath VWAP. It did the lit grab over VWAP. Bang, just kind of shorted it underneath. And then it held on to VWAP, never reloaded it. Again, trading small caps more this afternoon, but it's been a profitable one because obviously if you take some of those small cap runners, they've been fantastic. So no more trades. It's almost 350. The imbalances are about to drop, so I'm probably going to stay flat unless something crazy happens with said imbalances. Let's see what's happening elsewhere. I was just double checking. Obviously, if AMD just caught a bid, is Nvidia doing anything? No. AMD caught that little bit off the bottom. Nvidia went, boom, 15 pennies. This is what Nvidia has done this entirety of the afternoon. So we came on and Nvidia was at 138.25, let's say. The low, 137.90, and this local high, 138.20. So 30 penny range for this entire afternoon show on Nvidia. That's why we're not looking at Nvidia right now. That's why you're looking at IonQ and Drug and ESFH and maybe if SON had done something and BIVI. On days like today, on a Friday where the market's not moving, that went to 2.9. Okay. So, yeah, well, that was a little conservative on BIVI. BIVI went to 290. Look at the hold of VWAP. The second hold of VWAP, that's the one you want. See this entry here? All right, so again, buying a consolidation entry there, yeah, it might have actually technically worked in that it was profitable, but this is an entry on a stock. There's your pullback. There's your higher low. There's your lit grab under VWAP. There's your consolidation candle. There is your break right in here. Whether you're long 195 there or $2 there, it doesn't matter. That's your entry off of VWAP, and you give it back underneath the 185. And the difference, like BIVI set up exactly the same way EFSH did with that similar setup. You get the higher lows, consolidation, breakaway off VWAP. The difference is eFresh had already pulled back and had those nasty highs. BIVI was the one that was more fresh off these levels and more room to go. Stronger upward trend, and that's why you get better follow through. So about the same setup off of VWAP there, but BIVI is the one that really gives it to you. Both of them are great long trades, but one bigger than the other. The Drug just opened back up, and it's still headed to the downside.
I'm watching this 50 level.
Yeah, the 50 level, it's 349.
Yep.
Oh, the 50.
Oh boy.
The 50 is a big one if it can get down there. That's where it was holding a lot earlier. So there's your $50 level. I think that can be a big one here. on drug if it can hold on. But yeah, the low float runners are where you wanted to be today, this afternoon. There's no question about it. That's why we're focusing on it. Drug that reopened was at 555 and the low was at 51. So 55 to 51, it's bouncing right off the $50 level.
Might halt up.
Wow, you could have had 51 risking $1 and it's already back to 55. The stock is wild.
Yeah. I saw it open 52s and I was like, oh boy, what are we going to do here? And then bounces quite aggressively. VWAP happens to be there as well. Prior consolidation lows as well on that one.
I like that. I like that chart.
Yes, it's a good.
But specifically, I like that. Like not that.
I like that for sure. Thanks, Neil. The 50 is holding quite nicely as of right now. Again, going back to, I guess, we only have a couple minutes here, I guess 10 seconds until these imbalances come out. So I got eyes on imbalances right now. Let's see if there's anything significant that may or may not come out. In 3, 2, 1, here we go. All right, so Intel, Neil, with a bit of a buy imbalance right here. Interesting enough. Who is this right here? Is this BlackBerry? Interesting.
What?
Interesting. So Lucid is here up at the top as well. We got CPRT, TLT on the NASDAQ. Let's see what's in for us on the NYSE right here. We got some WRB, APH. Is that that's not?
Oh, 48 halt downs.
I see that. Oh boy, we're halting.
It's over.
Down. It might not be over till it's really over, Neil. We got 10 minutes left in the day, and we still have 4 hours left until the actual close at 8 p.m. And I'm pretty sure this thing's going to continue doing volume until the 8 p.m. close.
Oh, so it didn't halt down there. It actually got to the halt.
False halts again?
No, it got to the halt band. And did not halt on drug, and now it looks like it wants to halt a little bit lower. So the band reset at 47.37. Looks like it's going to a halt. It just went into a halt. So there you go. The $50. Once the $50 level broke, it was like the floodgates opened up. We just had a super chat. B. Joe, what stock would you keep your money in over week? So like I get to
the arachnid.
I only get to why now after all day long, and now you want to bring spiders up again? We're doing this? Really?
I mean, the futures have done nothing.
No. Actually, the interesting thing is you got big earnings coming through, right? So in a general sense, I usually like things that have reported and have already shown me that. Like you get Tesla next week. You're going to get some of the big boys in there. The easy answer would be the SPY if I'm just stashing it, because I want to see all the big boy earnings before I make calls on most of those stocks. You know, I do like the bounce that's already happened on ASML, but then I've already said my plan of action is to confirm that it holds 675. I can't give you that one because it needs to open there next week. If I had to keep it overnight, I want it in something conservative like the SPY. I think Nvidia is probably pretty safe for the next few days, especially after the chip names have already had that ASML drop. Anything that's managed to hold some support even on the down days is not too bad at all. But the stock I'm looking at next, I've already said several times, is ASML above that 675 level. I'm just looking to get it on Monday or Tuesday, sometime next week, not over the weekend. But when I see what happened when they reported their numbers, I just pulled it up. It doesn't really matter. I just pulled it up in Amsterdam. It's not going to bother changing. It should be the same chart, effectively speaking. So anyways, you know what? Let's forget it. Let's talk about it in New York because the prices will be a little bit more reasonable to everybody else. So ASML, all I'm getting at is they came out with numbers that disappointed the you-know-what out of everybody, scammed all the chip names to the downside, and then what it proceeded to do is hold 675, hold 700, now you're up 3 points. So I like that. It's not going to fill in the rest of that chart. I wanted to get the 200 period moving average up there so you can see how far it is away from the 50 and the 200, and then holding on to some major support at that 675 level. This is the one. I like it holding that low. I think you have an obvious out underneath it if you don't want to hold it for the long term. So ASML I really like. When you get that bottom made after short seller report, big bad earnings, I always like that. And getting in, especially on a good company, it's not going anywhere. You can't make advanced chips without them. Literally every advanced chip needs their advanced lithography machine. Get built. Because I'm stumbling through that one. No, but seriously, I don't think you can really go wrong. If it breaks 675, it's a really easy out. and then you can just reset and look for another dip buy level. So good one there, but 5 minutes to go here. We'll see what happens with these non-existent imbalances. I mean, Lucid and Intel, I guess there's still buys right now. Yeah, Intel always pairs off, though. Yeah. I mean, always pairs off. Lucid maybe, but then Lucid, did that even go anywhere? Lucid just had that imbalance and didn't even move.
No, it did not move. I was watching. I was like, yeah, nothing too crazy there.
Yeah, Intel's not doing anything.
But, yeah, kind of a muted action all day on the NASDAQ as well here. You can see pretty much traded sideways. We could not get anywhere distinctly past this 20,500. Can't really get above, can't really get below, still holding there. Definitely, drug was where the party was at. Again, very, very nice price action, lots of opportunity. We got pretty high off of it all day with that crazy price action, but right now we're on the come down going into the close. So we shall see where we open up. About to open up in a couple minutes here as the last print was at 351. It is 54 right now, 351.04, so it's 54.57. So this should technically open up in the next 4 seconds, so we can continue watching this one, see where we open up. 47.37 was the last price printed right here with only about 4 seconds left. Let's say that 4 seconds left here until the open, if it's going to be a 5-minute hold, right, Neil? So let's see if that thing
remember, no,
right now.
It's not going to open.
It's not going to open last 5 minutes?
The halt rules, if anything halts in the last 10 minutes of the day, then automatically the reopen is 4 o'clock. So drug is not going to trade until, it shouldn't trade until 4 o'clock. At all. And there was a good question. There was another good question in the chat because someone said, hey, Neil, what about Snowflake? So I can't give, like, if I'm already in something, I'm like, oh, what stock would you hold the weekend? I can't say something that I just recently bought myself. It's just cheap. So Snowflake broke out off the 50 period. I got into it. It just held the 50 period. So I could just say, yeah, Snowflake off the 50 period. But, you know, that's something that we gave, well, I gave and got into myself earlier, so I wanted something that was fresh. That's why I mentioned ASML there. But if it loses the 50 period, this could head right back into those lows. Everything paired off except for Lucid for 1.3 million. Intel paired off. Lucid still 1 million to the buy side. But like we mentioned, it is absolutely not moving. I feel like drug is going to be a wild one. We'll keep an eye on what drug does in the aftermarket. Yes. But speaking of that, yes, I got to mosey on up to the desk. We actually have, we're bringing Adara back, making a special appearance to join me in the aftermarket show. She's locked and loaded and ready. And I have we're going to ask her about some trades that she was looking at today. So make sure you stick around for that. We can do a Q&A if you guys want as well. And we'll see how drug is doing. Great look there. At least someone was brave enough to trade that drug stock because it wasn't going to be me.
You got to be brave to take the drugs. But what you realize once you get in them, they're really not as bad as everyone kind of says.
Drugs are bad.
Within reason. Within reason. I mean, here's the thing. When I have a headache, I take Tylenol. So, you know. There's different kinds of drugs.
Obi lives very dangerously. Very, very dangerously.
Listen, if you understand the pharmacokinetics, you've managed the risk somewhat.
Huh? What the hell did you just say?
The way the drugs kind of work. Pharmacokinetics.
Pharmacokinetics? Yeah. What the? You're not even speaking English to me, man. I didn't go to med school, okay?
No, neither did I.
I'm just calling you med. Your nickname from now on is med school. No. I'm going to mosey my way on up to the desk before this guy educates me too much more on all this stuff. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes.
Thank you, Neil. Again, solid day there. Nothing too crazy here on the large caps, but yeah, no, definitely some moves on Netflix. Yeah, I think we were talking about Adara taking a couple of trades there on that one. So stick around for the market recap to check those out. But yeah, crazy movers today with a lot of small caps moving again. Drug being the one in the line of sight of everyone there. Nothing too crazy in terms of the Mag 7. We can take a quick look at these charts here. That again, we were looking at these baskets earlier today. So just looking at these here, Spider didn't really get too far. I got the ES, I got the NQ, nothing too crazy. You can see Nvidia sideways as well, Softy sideways, Apple sideways. Amazon was the one that was relatively strong. That one is kind of pulling right back in, so kind of sideways. Alphabet definitely sideways here. I got the little bit of a tech basket as well here. So nothing too crazy. Some fade off. Let's see. You know what? I'm curious to know what TSM did. Earnings day 2 today, right? So earnings day 2. Let's check that one out. But before that, we can take a quick look at what Netflix did. Again, some strong action there off of their earnings report that came out last night. A strong push into the open as well, and it pushes all-time highs, printing an fresh all-time high now of 766.29. So going into next week, we'll definitely be watching this one here. Going into next week, earnings day 2 will be on Monday. So that's something to remember and note here. So as I get my trigger ready for the countdown, we'll take a quick look at TSM because I did say we were going to do that. Let's see what TSM did day 2. We did a nice little push up into 212.60s yesterday and a strong fade off for the rest of the day. Look at that continuation coming in right off of the open, straight quadunk to the downside off of what seems like just off the opening print. It didn't get quite too far above that and just slowly trickling down. So chips definitely going to be on watch next week with, again, we're just fresh into earnings seasons, everyone, and we only have about 20 seconds left, and I see Adara standing there at the bell. So let's start this countdown timer right now. So we got 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you, Adara. Going into the end there, there's a few thousand lots coming up on IONQ there at that 1330 mark, but again, got out of everything there. Again, enjoy your weekend, guys. A lot of anticipation coming into the next weeks with earnings season on the horizon. I guess not really on the horizon. We've pretty much gone through a few tickers. We've had Netflix, we've had a lot of the banks report, and we're starting to get some action on these small caps as well. Again, this week was crazy with drug doing over a 5,000 to 6,000% move here to the upside. 79 is the high. It is open. We were talking about it being open right after hours right here. There is drug right now trading at 49.60, 49 to 49.31. That is the level right here as of right now. Let's see what this one does going into the 8 p.m. close. And yeah, nothing else. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Thank you all for joining us as of right now. Now I think they are ready for us at the market recap desk. So while they kind of finish that up, again, I want to thank you guys for joining us and let them know in the chat, right? What tickers have you guys been trading this week? Did you guys participate in the drugs? Did you guys feel good about it or not? I have no idea, but quick little breakout off of this high break, but accumulation. I think this one is definitely one to study. What we did over the past 5 days. Textbook liquidity trap. Now, we haven't seen this one of these in a little bit, but they do show up every now and then, and I think it's a good study to have in your back pocket going forward, because this kind of price action, there will always be people who are offside. All right, so without any further ado, they're ready for us at the big desk, so I'm going to pass it over to Neil and Adara for the market recap, so stick around for that. I'll see you guys around. Take it easy. Have a good weekend.
Thank you very much, Sir Obi. Special edition of the market recap show here. We have Adara back on the desk joining me on this Friday. We got drug doing psychedelic things in the aftermarket here. Unfortunately, not good because it's heading back into the downside and it's still holding. But it's been a wild week, Adara. It was a wild day. It was a wild week. Everything got led off essentially by Netflix blowing out of the order. I know, look, drug is moving. If it does anything crazy, I'll let you guys know, but that stock is completely insane. No, everything started today with Netflix, blowout earnings, beat top and bottom, paid subscriber growth out the wazoo, like that 35% growth. It was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I said wazoo. It just happened. I just said that because I'm an old head. I got those old sayings in there. But the first big tech earnings name to come across the board being Netflix, and it makes an all-time high. Closes, it's now up 11%. Remember the expected move was 7? That's where we were gapped to. And then you get a continuation anyways on a breakout. We're definitely going to come to your trading in Netflix. I know you're actually trading this one today, Darius. We have to talk about that for sure. But just to round out some of the other things that happened in here, we had Bostic speaking, noting he stood by that 50 basis point cut, which is interesting given how strong everything is right now. So it's obvious that they're going to hold the line. A lot of times you're not going to always speak out exactly how you feel. I feel like a few of them have to think they should have gone 25. But the market keeps on going
We know
higher.
Michelle Bowman does, and we also had Feds Daily, and even the FOMC minutes, both implying that there were some more that were not down for the 50.
Bowman, we know. Yeah, Bowman definitely not afraid to speak out and let truth be told. I feel like, obviously when the market is this strong, when things look this good, it's a little bit more difficult to sort of look at that 50 basis points and say, hey, was that the right move? But it was there were other strong moves out there. I want to note the strong move that we had in the Chinese ADRs. We got a little bit of a bounce back today, up 4 points. You're going to see FXI here up 4 points. Alibaba had a pretty strong gap up. They didn't really hold the gap all that well, right? Like you ended up going back to the downside, but they didn't completely fall apart, still getting to the upside for the general sense. Like most of them made some bottoms that they were able to hold on to in the morning. So you get the typical kind of gaps up. And then, if you don't get any continuation, they fall right back into earth. So I don't want to we can talk about all these sectors and we'll have a lot of time to get into it. But you actually traded Netflix here, Adara.
I did.
And not only did you trade Netflix, you shorted Netflix today.
I did. Well, I also went long Netflix, but at the very end of the day, but I'll start with the short. Basically, I have been trying, I miss trading. I'm not going to sit here and lie. And I've been, my emphasis is going to be, of course, obviously on the news, though, right? So it's like if I see something sets up, I'm not looking for anything, but I will occasionally, dip my pinky toe in, right, if the opportunity sets up. So I was watching Netflix. I was watching the book on the way up. If you guys heard me talking, I love watching the order book and the tape. So 757 I found to be pretty interesting on Netflix. There were some other levels I liked, like 753. Of course, the 750 break, and then even lower 746. But 757 I watched because initially here, look at this bottoming tail candle, right? On the 5-minute chart. We get there, we bounce hard. All the way back up, though, to just shy of 760s. We couldn't even clear 760. So for me, that was a lower high. So I started watching. I said, if we break 757, it's done. I'm a little disappointed with the execution. I didn't get the initial 757 break. I was patient. I waited. I ended up getting 750, 650s. The second I get short, it immediately goes a point against me. But I was planning on risking. I was going to give it at least 2.5 points. I was going to give it in like 2 points, give it into that area approaching 759s. But I was really going to stay comfortable as long as we stay below 758. As long as I was in it, we never cracked above 758. So I was happy with that. The plan was to get out some at 753, so take about 4 points on it, or 3.5. But basically, we ended up slowing a bit at 754, so I took the first half of the position out, 2.5 points in the money. Then this part was I was trying to get out this prior bar high at the 15. We had a brand new 15-minute candle, so I was trying to switch. As I switched, I set my stop, and I basically ended up getting wicked out. So still took almost 2 points in the remainder of that position. Really happy with what I did with it, and it ended up working out. I got wicked out because we never really even got to my 753. All we did was push higher. Now, why did I go long at the end of the day? Because I loved this uptrend, and initially, you know me, I was actually maybe trying to go short. I said if we break below that 763, because we were really struggling with 764.30 on the order book. So I said if we can't hold that, and then if we break below 763, it's a short, really small position. Then we get to 763, we don't break below it on the ask, and we push higher. So I say, okay, now I want to see us break above 764.30. If I can get a high of day Netflix long, I would love that. I'd be pleased as punch. I was risking the prior bar low here on the 10-minute, so I think I was risking like 50, 60 pennies. I believe that was 80s, but we never even got there. I don't even think we broke below 764 or 764 on either side. Got that long there, ended up getting out at 765.33, then went right onto the green screen for my last segment. So really happy with this. Just trying to trade when I have time and when I see things that set up, not forcing anything. I will say I have such a better appreciation for the market now that I'm just watching, sitting on my hands and letting trades come to me. Rant over. Thank you for letting me wax poetic.
Well, the best part about it is, you don't have to, when you get that late long, like you can join a trend at any point, right? You saw it riding, I think you had a 50-period moving average. It was
I have a 9.
It was a 9. So,
yeah.
It's the 9 on a 3-minute or 1-minute chart. Mm-hmm. No, you saw it riding that trend. But the other way to look at it too, I have a 15-minute up without any trend lines. You wait for it to clearly break trend up top. Now, you didn't even get in, I think, which is, if you're picking tops and you're good enough to try to get it off here, great. Like when it's in the 760s, more power to you. The real confirmation happens when you get this drop and then this rejection of the 760 level. So there's that wick, rejection 67, close lower, and now you're basing it off of this level in here where you got that 758. So really, to me, the best possible price you have in the confirmation short would be tight to you could have just above 57, and then you got out pretty much when it reversed trend. So that's perfect. You wait till it breaks trend, you join a move, you don't have to get the top on a reversion. And as a matter of fact, if you get the exact top and reversion to try to get it, more often than not, you're just going to get yourself blown out and making top wick. I've done it a million times. Everybody's done it a million times. And then it's the same thing with that trend bottom. If you get the absolute low, great, but more often, joining that trend when it's confirmed is going to be the easier trade to make, wherever you do happen to get it. So I think that's one of the things you got to take away from it. Now, ultimately, the one thing that we didn't get out of Netflix today, which I want to point out, is one of the reasons why it doesn't get as actively traded here on the floor. I'm glad you did trade it today. There was no split.
No.
And this has been, I mean, if Lamb can split, Lamb Research finally split their stock to go down and now be a $70 stock. What is the excuse, Netflix? Netflix should do a split. They have everything going for it. I think you'd have more trade action. You're going to get far more retail playing options on it, which ultimately you're going to have more. You're going to get a little bit more liquidity in there. I do feel like there's a good opportunity for them to do the split, but then again, I'm a trader asking for what I want to happen so that we can trade it more actively on a regular basis. I do want to point out that drug is back above $50 because why not? It just bounced. I have 15 minutes still up here. I can probably put up a 3 or something, a little bit shorter time frame. So it did make a nice little bounce. For a second it was above 50. Now it's right back underneath. But got all the way up to $53. I still feel as if a lot of the wind has come out of those sails with that 3 halt down. They'll be a tricky one. Like personally, you saw, like I'd rather trade that eFresh stock, 1847 limited holding or whatever the heck that company's called.
Yeah.
I'd rather trade one of those where it's more regular risk to reward. Like it's gonna look like a lot of things that we normally trade on a small cap basis than something like drug. And holding this over the weekend is crazy. It's one thing for those people that might have it when it was like a $2 or $3 stock and you're letting it ride like the last little bit. But up here, even with that pullback from 80, even if you were long at 45 to 50, this stock could be $10 on Monday. It could be $3 on Monday. It could be 25. It could be 75. All of those things are certainly possible. And we've seen what happens to a lot of people when they end up bag holding. And speaking of eFresh, when drug went to the downside, this lost a bit as well. And so sometimes it's okay to just make the $6 into $7 play. That's it. It doesn't have to go to $10. Not every small cap trade has to be a 100% mover or anything crazy like that. You can just take the inside trade, play it from 610, risk 25 pennies, and make $1. 3, 4 to 1, whatever you might be able to get. I think those are absolutely fine. K-Debs just said, what just happened to news?
I couldn't find any news or movement.
NUZE. I mean, it's a slight move to the. That's not that big of a move. Remember NUZE, Newsy here. This was dropping pretty much most of the day after an early run up. It spent the rest of the day pulling back in. It is a day 2 runner here. Started off yesterday breaking that dollar move and then giving it all back. Well, okay, it didn't give it all back. Giving a lot of it back, but then holding on to support. Remember, when you've got these crazy runners on day 2, when it's already given you the pullback trade, just have a look-see to see if it's holding out support anywhere that matters. It'll be easier to see on a 15-minute here with NUZE. Like there's your pullback into 120. It bounces, holds 130, holds 130. You think the move is done. You think the stock is now dead, but it holds on to that higher low. Like this prior consolidation level, it just holds right onto it. That doesn't get all the way back to $3. But as long as this doesn't break $1.20, then you can go sideways from here. You can make another breakout. This is exactly where it lulls people to sleep. And then you come back next week, and if it's still above the 120 level, going sideways, you also have the 50-period moving average. I think it's a 50 down here at about 112. It holds on to this level, and you could have a multi-day rally. Just remember, most of these stocks don't sustain multi-day moves.
No.
When they pull back, you can get quite nasty. So yeah, there was no news on NUZE there.
No, there was no news. And there wasn't much news volume either. It is worth noting, I'm seeing as of right now just over 100,000 shares printed in this 15-minute candle, which began at 4 p.m. So there was someone here in the chat, shout out to KDEP, saying the time and sales showed a huge print. Thank you for pointing that one out to us. Yeah, like I'm not seeing it reflected. So as of right now, 132,000 shares in this candle. Last time I checked a couple of minutes ago, it was 115,000 shares. So not too much that I am seeing on news, though. If there is any news, we will be the first to deliver it extra over here. I guess not read all about it, but see all about it.
That's how we roll. That's how we roll. Look, if there's something happening in the market, we want to make sure we get it to you for sure. KDEB saying the time and sales showed a huge print. Yeah, that's entirely possible. I'm going to keep an eye on it just in case something crazy happens. I did want to make note of URA and uranium. There were a couple of breakouts today. The uranium names and some of the nuclear energy names had some strong movement. Silver was a nice breakout that I want to make sure that we get to there for XLV. But yeah, specifically with URA, if you look at that, what I love about this kind of a setup, when you get a false break at the open, lit grab off of like pre-market support or prior day support, V-shaped recovery. Like, look what uranium did today. Goes V-shaped right into yesterday's resistance, right into pre-market highs, and then dips. Holds the higher low, and then this is the breakout. Like, you know, it's trying to break higher lows into a flat top break, and look what happens after a break. It's just a clean move up. Now, obviously, some people might say 33.18 or 33.50 isn't a very sexy move. Well, I'll tell you, when it never goes against you and it just trends for the majority of the afternoon, there is nothing wrong with that. It's a simple trade. You know, you probably only have to risk about 5 pennies taking that break, if that, and it just trends for you the rest of the day. That wasn't the only thing that was moving around. Some of the old school ones were making moves. SMR did not necessarily have as good of a day. It did a liquidity grab and then a big run, but it gave the whole move back on SMR for a true like recovery, like not a V shape or whatever the reverse of that is, I guess you'd call it. You still caught a bit of a bid here. I like what this is doing on the daily, holding above prior highs at 17. But these nuclear small modular reactor names, URA is also going. So they're still very much in play, even if it was a heavy pullback here. SMR ends up the day flat after being up like double digits at one point. Yeah. Still a 27% short float that I can only imagine is getting better. And with these, we got to still keep our ear to the ground on a daily basis to see who else is making a deal, because we've had Amazon, we've had Alphabet, Google talk about deals and wanting to make sure they get power. Microsoft as well as another one. That's why we have you on the desk. So when any of the news pops up, we can get these low flow runners, because that's where they are.
Oh, yeah.
Big, huge short floats with a lot of these small modular reactor names.
Yeah, SMR, I believe, is 20%. I'm going to check to clarify that. I know as of a few days ago it was. But I remember, like, and that's what was interesting, too, about being on this news desk all day now. You'll see the way things move incrementally. I remember when I initially brought up SMR, I think at 10 a.m., the day that this ran on the Amazon News, I believe, Wednesday, it was up, you know, I think it was near 15s. Then the next time I look at it, it's like above 17s. I look at it again, it's above 18s. It's just crazy to see how these things incrementally creep up. The short float now 27% for SMR, so I think it has increased over the last few days. So that is not a small short float with a small modular reactor company. That is for sure. Yeah, new scale, taking it to a whole new level. But I got to get some puns on here, right? Why not? But yeah, apologies for the speed of my voice, guys. I'm just so excited to be back on this desk, talking about these markets, talking about these trades. You know what?
We've been doing this show for a while on YouTube, and when we started out, like, I'll tell you, Sean and I were just traders. Sean has much more of an experience like talking, and he did more training. I would just do floor management and sometimes train traders and more one-on-one kind of stuff. But Brendan, who actually did radio, more of a professional background before he was in trading, he was on the radio doing business news. And one of the things that he said was, you have to try, you just have to be yourself in front of the camera or on the air. Because the second you try to be something else, that's when you're going to falter. You're not going to sound right. People are going to know something is off. Yeah. You're not going to have the same level of confidence. Like, Sean has his energy, which is different from my energy. Like, yours is going to be different from Obi's, is going to be different from Joseph, is different from Sharif. And that's the whole idea. You try not to be too fake. We've all seen it when people are in front of a camera and they're ridiculously fake, and it's not any fun for anybody.
Yeah, a good point.
K-Debs, I'm going to see if we can't crowdsource this, because K-Debs just asked in the chat here, it was, is there a nuclear ETF that you know of? Now, I'm aware of the uranium ETFs. Now, something specific that is just maybe the reactor plays that isn't a uranium ETF, I don't know. That's why URA is kind of the one that we keep talking about here. I think that's the most adjacent, but...
Oh, sorry, I was just going to see, I want to shout out Drago's here saying NLR nuclear ETF. I just looked it up.
NLR?
This is the VanEck nuclear ETF. I don't know what kind of intraday volume this gets, but thank you very much to Dragos for letting us know about NLR, which I have just looked into here.
Let's see what's in it. I mean, VanEck has a lot of really good ETFs. I mean, I don't know what's in. Let me just see how quickly I can pull that up and see what they have in there. Come on, website. You're now starting to struggle. So like, that was NLR here. So obviously we just talked about URA there. I mean, this one's looking, it's performing better.
They have CEG is their top component. So CEG we know has been really strong. That's almost 10% of NLR, their Constellation Energy Group. They also have CCO, so Cameco. They have PEG. I think the main one we know here is going to be CEG, but also UEC, Uranium Energy Corp. They have DNN.
They got Denison as well.
Chat earlier. Yeah, they've got quite a few.
Yeah, okay, so this, I mean, it has a bunch of the ones that I'm aware of. PG&E. Yeah, okay, PG&E I didn't know was in that game. PG&E, of course, unfortunately, they were in the news for the forest fires in California. Their power lines were a bit of an issue for sure there. But yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going to jot that one down for myself because we've been looking at URA. Like, wait, look, this is why we have the best community out there, and we're always trying to grow the community. Because part of trading is you got to crowdsource ideas. A trading floor is about sharing ideas and getting better from each other. That's the value of what Trader TV Live brings to everybody. It's a trading floor live to you. But we also always want your help. I'm never pretending to know everything. At the end, the question was, are you aware of, I knew URA, I knew some of the mining names in terms of a nuclear ETF, but I didn't know that one. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. This is what we try to do. We all try to help each other out there and get some new ideas. Zion Lala asking if Obi can take drug to 100 aftermarket. He's still sitting there, but I promise you he's not trading DRUG in the aftermarket.
Maybe he'll relapse.
You know you're not trading it, Obi. That's crazy. No, he's not going to be trading that in the aftermarket. And he is watching it, though. He confirmed he is watching drug. It's not moving. He's consuming price action. It's not getting to I don't think it's getting to 100. After that move we saw to the downside, very unlikely. The wins came out of the sales there at the end of the day. If it's going to do it, it'll probably have to do it next week. Another question in there, JF in the chat. JF in the chat, is SoFi making a bull flag on the weekly? Well, one way we can answer that question is to put on a weekly chart. So I have the daily. I want to keep my daily there. On the weekly, well, on the weekly, it's not really a bull flag. It's a test of the high in the weekly. I'd say it's the daily that's making a bit of a bull flag. Probably, if you look at a 15, it's probably the exact same thing. So what essentially all this means, you don't have to be a charter market technician. It's a move up, strong move up, and then a consolidation at the high. I don't care if it doesn't look like a flag to you, but it fits those parameters, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing. Is it consolidating this high since it broke out? Okay, so the local break was an 850, 860 area that we talked about a while ago. It took out 9. It's consolidating over the prior high. We'll call that like 950. You're getting higher lows and the same top at the resistance at 10.5 bucks on SoFi. So any consolidation in that area here, to me, is a bull flag where next leg up is a break. Now, sometimes, as we're demonstrating today with Amazon, the other way to look at that bull flag setup is to find like a rejection underneath resist support, a reclaim of this, and then kind of get back in here. And before it breaks, you're long 10, giving it to 9.5, and then you're playing along into the break of the high instead of the break of the bull flag. Just a couple of ways to play it there. You can confirm the breakout and take the breakout, or let it try to liquidity grab underneath inside of the little flag, and then grab the long inside of it here, play it into the high, hold through the high. Then you don't have to worry about is it going to break or is it not going to break. You're in the money at the point of the breakout. You can choose to add, you can choose to take some out, but you got to have yourself a stop. That prior low, usually a pretty good place to do it. Pickle Jim, Obi is moving on to another drug. I don't know what else is there. What else is moving? Puff up pass? Yeah, it's on to the next. We saw that with that BIVI stock.
Bivi.
The second that dropped the bid, drug started going. The second drug halted down, BIVI started going again. The algos, and this is not a conspiracy theory. Obviously, there's a million different types of algorithms that trade on the market. And the ones that are chasing the liquidity in the small cap runners or whatever the squeeze name of the day is, if one gives up and another one's strong, what do you think happens? If they're making money quickly buying and selling on trend, then when one loses, they want to go to where the money is next. So when it makes logical sense, when drug halts down, that's going to be gone. Jump over to Biovie, which did make that move. I wish I had held on to this one. Unfortunately, we didn't hold on to Biovie. I'll say I didn't have the best entry into the Biovie long because obviously, I was taking it on this initial pullback, straight up, was breaking 180, and then it did this test of the high. There's this pullback which rejected. I bought back into $2 here, played it $2.25. It lost $2. I got out. The best entry that you can find on this chart is right here. So you've got this steep trend which was holding higher lows. You get this obvious area, like this candle here at about $1.85, where you get the bounce, you get this rejection candle where it then holds a tight low and then another break here. Okay, well, you don't have that one. Let's wait for confirmation. Same thing. Lit grab right underneath that 180 area, 185 area. Next candle confirms back in green. You're going long somewhere in this 3-minute candle. It doesn't really matter much. You give it to the prior low, and then you're off to the races. It's these little nuanced, wait for it. Don't just buy into that. Wait for it to give a capitulation bottom. Wait for it to give a capitulation bottom. Confirm the move. Get in somewhere here. Get in somewhere here. And then you can give it to that low. You always want to be with the trend when these things are bouncing. And the best part about the small caps here, Adara, is when one of these gives you that entry, suddenly you have a $1.80 stock that you are legitimately risking 10 or 15 cents on that has the potential to go to $2, $2.50, $3. Yeah. And in the meme stock days, it was gold getting set up. All you would do as a day trader, find one entry like that a day, just one. And then you scalp some out, hold the rest for the dream. And that's how people were banking in the meme stock days. Crazy. You didn't have to hold it $1 against you to get a $2 move. You could find those types of entries on a trending stock. And that's the best part. Now, shorting it is another story. I think you want to stay away from that, despite what happened to me on Veru. I think it was Veru one day where I got rinsed trying to short Veru.
Yeah.
That was a famous stock. That
was the one that Fahad, that was he was
the CEO of
right?
Veru.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
How was it already 4:30?
Time flies when you're having
ridiculous.
fun with these markets.
It always does.
Indeed.
Ummer in the chat saying JDZG is going.
Oh, that Jade? Yeah, they were on the watch list this morning along with a lot of those other small caps. They have I believe they have under a 3 mil float. I will get the exact details on this float. 2 million even, 2 million share float, just under 8% short float here. For JZDG, JDZG. They are a Chinese ADR.
That's a mouthful.
And yeah, that chart is as confusing as that ticker is to say.
And the ticker doesn't even make any sense with regards to the name. It must make sense. Yeah, well, there's got to be a logic to it. That one's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. Okay, because we're getting on in time here, I feel like we didn't really go over the results of the poll. For shame, clearly we don't have enough Bitcoin holders here. No. Because only 59% of those that voted in our poll will BTC break and hold 70,000 over the weekend. Only 59% think it will. Whatever happened to just making the bet on the thing? Because you don't have to put anything down. All you got to do is click yes. And then you get to be a part of wanting it to happen. So I want it to happen. I own Bitcoin.
I like
obviously.
that.
I would like it to happen. We don't know if it's going to. Obviously, it's been a big resistance level. It's descending trend line. It's had off the highs. More aligning with 69,000 than 70, but 70 is a big level that has to go. So obviously, not as optimistic, I think, as some of us are. And I said all week that this move, that breakout, it's Bitcoin. It's happening on the weekend. We're not getting that awesome of a break during market. That's just not how it works. We're gonna get if we get that break, it's happening over the weekend. It's not happening this week. It was never going to, I don't think. TH going west soon says they voted yes. Thank you, TH. We appreciate your vote because we all want to. We record. See, RFID trader. We cordially request Adara at the desk throughout the day, please. You're getting some love here, Adara.
Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate it. I'm always happy to be here in whatever capacity. So yeah, happy to be here.
So before we get to the rundown, I just want to say, so Adara, you weren't feeling well. Yeah. And I'm glad you're back here, even though not even 100%. So on the days that Adara is not here, it falls to me to do the watch list which I can tell you, obviously it's just good going through stocks and getting stories out there and what stocks are moving, which you'd think would be easy enough for a trader. But I actually can't get it done without Sharif's help on time. So to give you an idea of how busy Adara's day is, she comes in here and she does the watch list for us and gets some of the screens ready that you see on the more Trader TV Live. She's getting us news throughout the day. She has a very, very busy day. And we try to make sure that we give the best all throughout the day. So I can tell you she's incredibly busy. Don't take any more time off because doing the watch list is hard, and it's hard. You think it's an easy thing, but it is very time consuming. So I want to thank you for that. And we always have a fantastic time and a fantastic team here. But I'm also glad that we get to do the Adara roll call, if you don't mind.
Oh, I would love to.
So anyone out there, if you don't know what roll call is, it's a pretty simple thing. First, if you're not a subscriber on the show, hit the subscribe now. That's a fail. Hit the subscribe now so you can be in the chat. Because if you want to get your name shouted out in rapid fashion by Adara, then you have to be able to post in the chat. So hit the like and the subscribe, get your name into the chat. As always, I'm going to give a big shout out to our entire team, whether it's Sean away today, Obi filling in for Sean, Brendo, we had Joseph and Sharif on the midday. I know Sataya was ill, but she would have loved to be back on the show. We had Fabian on the ones and twos and Andre on the ones and twos, and Ramin's going to be back. And big thank you, of course, to Adara, who's about to give us the roll call.
Thank you very much, Neil, for that lovely run-up. And I appreciate the kind words there. Thank you to Neil. Thank you to Obi for hosting there. Sharif, Sean's not there. Shout out to Joe. Shout out to Fabian as well, killing it by himself all week and last week as well. And we're going to start going through this roll call now. We have Rob Jenkins. We have Isaac Williams, Jay Doctor, Bears versus Bulls, Derek Thompson. We have Grov. We've got New Few Capital. We have Mark M. We have BGZ, Zion Lala, oh, the names are thrown in here. Havana Woody, we have Adam DeLuce. We have Michael Spadaforo, Baseball Card, Will, Sebastian Jr., Anurag. We have Dabba Dabba Doo, shout out to, I think, the Flintstones there, I guess. Just some random dude. Blatant Stomp, Jake, DJ Freddie K. We have Borhout. We've got Carl. We've got the Piper. We've got Mui Cansado. We have, I don't know what does that name to? We have Melissa Murphy. We have Robert Leo. We've got Go Explore. We have Yoel Reina. We have Gigi Dan. We've got Matt Marine, RFID Trader, Bigly Down Under. We have Bookam Dano, Marcel. We got Neil in the chat there. I'm not able to do this fast as I used to. Dundal Senya, Ron Du, Jam Losi. We have Stuart Lonsdale, Callie Cat, Robert, Ab T, Gustavo, Crypto FOMO, Derek Thompson, Bads, Mike Breeze, Simon, the VRO's trades, J-Boss, Jade, Gustavo, once again, Melissa Murphy, Darwin, B-Bot 5000, Callie Cat, Enchantress Wonderland, Shenanigans, Diane, Artemis. I could go all day, but I won't. Thank you guys so much for being here. There's a Joe as well in the background. I'm so happy to be here for this guest appearance, guys. What a time.
Crushing it. Absolutely crushing it like you always do. Thank you so much there, Derek. Thank you, everyone, for getting in there on the chat and making sure you got the roll call. Shout out to Joseph, who's still hanging around watching the aftermarket show. There we go. Wow, we can even put him right there. Shout out to Joseph. Love those options lessons. We're all learning a heck of a lot because not all of us are experts like Joseph is. But hey, the best part about all of this, and you know what's up. We had Netflix earnings next week, the T to the S to the L to the A. We get Tesla earnings next week. It's going to be a big week. And so rest up, have a great weekend, have fun, spend it with family, do whatever you do. Enjoy that weekend. Hopefully we get some good weather. But be ready because 8:30 Monday morning we start again. It's more earnings. It's Trader TV Live. And we'll see you Monday morning. Bye, guys.
See you guys.